Down in the city, where the shadows grow so tall, there's a woman named Karen, caught up in it all. They say she did wrong, but the truth's hard to find. 'Cause the law's got dirty fingers and justice is blind. Whoa, justice blues in the pale moonlight. When the one sworn to serve you don't do what's right. Whoa, justice blues, it's a cold hard fight. In the dark of the night, where corruption takes flight. They twisted her story, turned the facts all around, made her out to be guilty on shaky ground. Evidence vanished and the lies start to flow. But the deeper you dig, the darker it grows. Oh, justice blues in the pale moonlight. When the one sworn to serve you don't do what's right. Oh, justice blues, it's a cold hard fight. In the dark of the night, where corruption takes flight. She cries out for fairness, for a glimpse of the truth. But the powers that be, they ain't got no proof. The badges and the ties, all woven with deceit. In this twisted tale, it's the innocent they cheat. Oh, the courtroom whispers and the gavel strikes down, but the air's filled with tension neath that judge's frown. Karen stands there strong with fire in her eyes, for she knows deep inside the real crime's in disguise. Whoa, justice blues in the pale moonlight. When the one sworn to serve you don't do what's right. Whoa, justice blues, it's a cold hard fight. In the dark of the night, where corruption takes flight. One day the truth will rise like the sun in the sky, and the lies will crumble, no more alibis. But until that day comes, she sings a mournful tune of the justice blues neath the pale haunted moon.
Oh, hit that refrain, people.
For a glimpse of the truth, but the powers that be, they ain't got no proof. The badges and the ties, all woven with deceit. In this twisted tale, it's the innocent they cheat. In this twisted tale, it's the innocent they cheat. In this twisted tale, it's the innocent they cheat.
All right, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I'm just glad you're doing it here with me. We are just about ready to start day 26 of the Karen Reed trial. Calling all my friends 3 says, what song is this? This is a little song I wrote called Justice Blues. The music is all AI. So it's all about this trial here. So that's just a little ditty I wrote to introduce this. I hope you're all doing great. It is Monday. It is Monday, the 17th of June, and we've just come off the Father's Day weekend. Hope all you fathers had a great time. That's fathers of actual people or any other critters, creatures, and animals around the home you might consider your children, etc., etc. Just Hope you had a good one. I had a good one. It was the fourth anniversary of the passing of my best friend, the owner of the cigar lounge, where I do the barbecues. We did a big barbecue day yesterday. It was great. I survived. No burns. We made some good steaks. It was pretty delicious. All right. There's not a lot to talk about today as far as housekeeping stuff goes. Just the usual that we'll get right through, and then we'll talk about what happened last Friday, all in an effort to prepare us for what's coming up. And if you don't need any of this and you're watching on the replay crew, you might want to skip ahead about 5 minutes. Okay. YouTube things, normal YouTube things. Everybody knows what to do. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, double check to make sure you're still subscribed. We are starting out with 255 people here already and 127 likes. And just get it out of the way while I'm doing this. So we don't have to talk about it more than necessary, which is about once an hour. We try to remind you to do that. So we'll just do it again right here, right now. 251 concurrent viewers and 134 likes. We need 120 of you to hit that like button. And we are only 55 subscribers away. Only 55 subscribers away from 77,000 subscribers. Will you be number 77,000? If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and give it a crack. Let's see. What else we got? We got our do not forget to generate your bingo card. Go right to the top of the comment section and click on the generate your bingo card here. There's a little link. Click on that. It'll bring up another screen. Click on the generate button and it will bring up your bingo card and you can play along with us on our Karen Reed murder trial bingo card. It seems a little irreverent, but we do it actually because it helps you focus a little bit more on the trial. You're looking for things, you're paying attention, you're trying to focus on what's actually being said. And it sort of keeps us on our toes a little bit. So download. No, you don't. Sorry, you don't have to download. You just generate. Click on the link and generate it. Mine is all generated and ready to go. I just can't remember what window it is. Oh, there it is. I found my window. We also have our like and subscribe poll. We're coming to the end of the prosecution's case. Maybe within this week they'll wrap it up. Like, subscribe, and vote. Should the judge grant a directed verdict at the end of the prosecution's case? Again, that is, should she do it, not will she do it. And when considering whether or not to grant a directed verdict, you have to consider the evidence in a light most favorable to the prosecution. If you find that no matter how you look at this evidence, there is absolutely no possibility of a reasonable jury reaching a conclusion that she is guilty, then you should grant the directed verdict. But if you think there's even a slight possibility the prosecutor may have done enough to achieve some sort of guilty verdict, then you should deny the directed verdict motion. So the question is should, not will, because there's not a chance in hell that Judge Bev would ever grant a directed verdict, I think, but should she is the question. 70% of you say most definitely. And 13% of you say, no, the prosecution did the basics. They did enough to get by. They got enough to get through at least this massively high hurdle to obtain a directed verdict. And 16% of you say, I don't know. It's a close call. Well, there we go. That's your answer. We'll check back in about an hour to see what, if anything, has changed as far as the poll goes. All right, so we got the bingo card, we got the like and subscribe poll. Now to wrap us up here, let's see, following here, got to bring up the court cam so that we can see what's going on in court. Let's see, not that one. Ooh, the breeze is picking up again. It's getting a little chilly in here. All right, let's see. Share this window. Present, share screen, and embiggen that bad boy. Where's the embiggen screen? Oh, it hasn't started yet, so we can't embiggen it until it starts. So we'll just put this down here in the bottom corner, as always, and wait for something to happen, which could happen anytime in the next couple of minutes. All right, the last thing we need to do is to look and see what's happened before we even got started. Before we even got started with this little show that we like to do every day. We have 20 Legal Vices memberships gifted by Sebastian Mueller. If you were one of those people that got one of the 20 gifted memberships from Sebastian, please give him a super special thanks. That is a ridiculously gracious gifting of memberships. Let's give him the big foghorn for that. Ooh, a little bit loud. Let's bring that down just a little bit. Thank you so much, Sebastian Mueller, for that. That right out of the gate does the little old thing that we like to do here on the channel. When we get to that $100 level, it's this little thing we like to do called
Release the hounds.
So the dogs will be with us from the beginning today. The dogs we're already preloaded. We got preloaded emotional support potato pig dog cam already out of the gate because of Sebastian Mueller. Thank you again so much, Sebastian, for the support. You're always a great supporter. And right out of the gate, you are also the Vice Racks of the day, and someone's got to do a lot to dethrone you from that. But also not to be neglected, Aussie Overlord, who in the middle of his own stream has apparently popped on over here to gift 5 Legal Vices memberships.
Release the hounds.
Well, that would be entirely the wrong button. I meant this one. The lesser ships bell. Thank you so much for the 5 Legal Vices memberships, Aussie Overlord. Hopefully you'll see this at some point. Thank you so much. And everybody needs to go over and subscribe to Aussie Overlord at some point if you haven't already done so. Great guy, super fun, and quite the mensch. And the very last thing to do, hey, Joe. Hey, Joe, you're a new member. You're a new member again. You're a new member again of the Clean and Sober crew. Thank you so very much for re-upping the membership. That's awesome. All right, in the couple of minutes we got here, I got to keep refreshing the law and crime screen to make sure that we don't miss any of the hot court action. We have Officer Paul, who is going to be taking the stand. Officer Paul is an alleged accident reconstruction expert. If any of you saw last Friday, you'll know that accident reconstruction is one of the last things this guy should ever put on a resume. This guy was horrible in his accident reconstruction of this particular accident. He determined that, for instance, Karen Reed, would have had to have backed up 97 feet. That's nearly 30 yards, nearly 30 meters. She would have had to back up, achieving a speed in reverse of 24 miles an hour, which is somewhere around 45 kilometers an hour, I think. In reverse around a slight bend, maintaining a straight line whilst allegedly up to 0.24 something percent BAC, to have struck John O'Keefe, who apparently just stood in the middle of the street or crouched down in the middle of the street long enough to watch this car drive 30 yards straight at his face, only just to wait to be impacted right in the grill by a 7,000-pound vehicle. In the chest region, because they said they hit him in the chest and he would have gone forward, and then he would have. All right, let's see if I can remember what this reconstructionist said. He would have been hit below his chest. He would have gone forward and hit his face on the car and spun counterclockwise about 10 feet away into the snow. And they reconstructed this by, because remember on that night it was snow. There was already snow on the roads. There's snowpack. There was blizzard conditions, etc. But they did this in the parking lot apparently of the police station. No snow, at speed. It was bad, and they did a little bit of voir dire or voir dire, as you're supposed to say, to determine whether or not he can testify about whether or not Karen Reed backed into John O'Keefe's vehicle at around 5 whatever a.m. when she was leaving. And that son of a bitch just flat out lied on the stand. Just flat out, in my opinion, never to be humble opinion, committed flat out perjury on the stand. They showed in slow motion. They showed in an expanded view her striking his vehicle and John O'Keefe's vehicle moving. Anybody with eyes could see that vehicle moved. He denied seeing that it moved. No freaking way that was not flat out perjury. Everybody saw it. Everybody with an eye saw it. And he just said it didn't hit. Why? Because the snow on the back of John O'Keefe's vehicle didn't move. And mind you, it was wet snow. It was packed. And in what way does that prove anything that the snow didn't move? The freaking, it's too early. The freaking car moved. It doesn't matter what the snow on the back windshield did. And then when he was cross-examined by Yannetti, he said he never matched up the two vehicles. He couldn't even be bothered to just sort of back Karen Reed's vehicle up to John O'Keefe's vehicle to see whether the tail light of her vehicle would have connected with any pokey-outy parts of his car. Whether there would have been other points of impact they didn't know, whether any of these scratches would have come from either vehicle. There was no exchange of paint. There was whether there was or not. I mean, he lied. He lied.
Liar!
And then under cross-examination, he fell to pieces, and it was a brutal cross-examination during voir dire. Now, what's going to happen? Probably should be the first thing we hear from the judge this morning. She may even be doing it now because we're about 6 minutes late. Is she should give us her ruling as to whether or not she is going to allow him to be examined as an expert, as an accident recreation expert on the issue of whether or not Karen Reed's vehicle hit John O'Keefe's vehicle and the damage that it would or would not have done. It's rough. What we're going to be having today, if I recall correctly, today is going to be a full day. Tomorrow will be the voir dire of the defense experts, of 2 defense experts they plan to call during their case in chief. So that'll be tomorrow. So there'll be no jury tomorrow. Wednesday's a holiday, so there'll be no court. Thursday will be a full day and a half day on Friday. Exactly, Caldrak. It is voir dire. There ain't no other way to pronounce it. All this voir dire stuff is just, lame and incorrect. People keep saying they've started. I keep hitting refresh, and it keeps showing nothing has started. So,
You are unmuted.
To say, and we'll watch Yoda. Hey, what happened to my camera?
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All parties having anything to do before the Honorable First Justice Beverly Benoni now sitting in the Norfolk Superior Court, which in for the county of Norfolk, draw near and give your attendance, we shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth and this court, that they can be seated for the council session tomorrow.
Good morning again, counsel and Ms. Reed.
Good morning, jurors. I hope you all enjoyed this gorgeous weekend. I have those 3 questions to ask you. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left here on Friday?
Yes.
Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case?
Yes.
Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case?
So I guess we don't get to hear what her ruling is on the
Everyone said no or shook their heads.
on the voir dire of.
Could we please have Trooper Paul?
I guess we're just going to get to hear if they what questions he gets asked. I guess we can enlarge it now.
And just watch your step for me. Thank you.
So, Mr. the evidence being recorded during the case now in here and the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Morning, Trooper. All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
If you could just again, please state your name and spell your last name for sure.
Yes, it's Trooper Joe Paul. That's Paul.
And sir, if I could just take you back to a couple different portions of your testimony from Friday. With respect to the acceleration and braking tests that you conducted in the driveway area or outside of the Canton Police Department, was that before or after Ms. Hartnett from Crime Scene Services section had processed the vehicle?
After.
And so as far as anything that was removed by her, that was done prior to you conducting any of your tests, is that correct?
Correct.
Now,
All right. We get to mark off 2 things. Mark off nervous prosecutor cough and Darth Vader mic breathing.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to ask you just some general questions with regard to a number of those crashes have involved motor vehicles, collisions with other motor vehicles, correct?
Yes.
Now, in general terms, with respect to motor vehicle collision, what if any,
mark it off on your card.
you talked a little bit last week about sort of area of impact and point of impact, correct?
Correct.
Now, that's with regard to the roadway, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So with regard to the vehicles coming in contact with each other, what, if anything, regarding damage would you expect or anticipate based on your experience in general terms when vehicles come in contact or touch with each other in a collision sequence?
Objection.
No, I'm going to allow it. In general terms, what do you look for?
So we look, well, it's 2 times of damage onto a vehicle. One's contact damage and one's an induced damage. So when we look at vehicles, we are looking for what's called as contact damage. And the induced damage is basically, start from beginning. So contact damage is the damage that is actually made direct contact with another vehicle. And induced damage is the damage that did not make direct contact. So for example, if you push in one piece of metal to make contact, the rest of the metal will make a rippling effect that would more cause induced damage.
And just again, in general terms, as far as vehicles coming in contact with each other in a collision sequence, what, if anything, would you expect or anticipate based on your experience to sort of transfer from one vehicle to the other event?
It's possible when you transfer, you can have paint transfers that come from one vehicle to another. You got tire rub off that go from one vehicle to another. Scratches that would come from one vehicle to another.
And again, sir, just in general terms, when it comes to vehicles interacting with each other in a collision sequence, what, if any, role does the respective heights of those vehicles play in respect to contact damage or induced?
Yeah, it depends on their heights and how they relate to each other. So that kind of shows if one vehicle is taller, one smaller, it's going to show where the contact damage would be from one vehicle to another based on their height.
So based on respective heights, contact or induced damage could be in a different location from a bigger vehicle to a small, correct?
Correct.
Now, if I could turn you back to the text stream analysis that you conducted with respect to the defendant's vehicle. Now, the two events that occurred,
Everybody sounds
on that
really
12,
nervous
69
today.
miles deep, there were two events that occurred within that trigger, within that mileage, is that correct?
Correct.
And based on your analysis with respect to the odometer readings and the mileage.
Tanny,
where
we're
is
watching it live, of course.
What is your belief as to where the vehicle was when those two events, being 3-point turn and the backup straight for approximately 60 some odd feet? Where did those occur within the travel path of the defendant's vehicle?
So the first one with the 3-point turn, in this case, it appeared to be possibly on to it was a Cedar Crest, which, because we know based on testimonies that she missed the exit to Fairview and had to make a U-turn onto Cedar Crest, and that would make sense to why they would occur with close proximity to each other. They're within the same odometer mileage and on the same key cycle.
And so that occurred 24.2 miles per hour for 60 some odd feet. Where would that have occurred geographically from your review of the odometer reading?
It should occur probably on Fairview.
Now, sir, based on the totality of your analysis and your investigation in this case, what, if any, did you come to as to how this collision sequence occurred or how this crash occurred?
Yes. Should I show my report for that, or should you want me to just kind of go off it? Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
His name is Officer Alopecia. Yeah, they both sound really nervous. Lally sounds nervous in his questioning. He keeps doing that thing he does when he's getting nervous. Guy here, Paul is all over the map.
We continue.
If you could, please.
Listen to how
What, if any,
nervous he
conclusions did you
sounds.
come to
He knows he's going to
what's
get
your
his
investigation?
ass handed to him on cross-ex.
So on Saturday, January 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:45,
So you can look at your report, but you can't read your report.
I'm
So,
reading my conclusions based on what they asked me to do. Okay.
yeah. So I
Don't tell the
also I
judge what you're
can't hear you.
Sorry.
Okay. So just take your time, read your report, and then answer Mr. Lowry's
Help, it's all
question. And
going
if you
to
need
hell
look at your
already.
report, we'll see about that again.
All right.
Ask the question, Mr. Lally.
Based on the totality of your investigation, what, if any, conclusions did you come to with regard to how this collision occurred?
So this collision occurred on Saturday, January 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:45 hours.
Stop
A
reading. from your
2021
notes.
Lexus LX 570
He
was
keeps looking
traveling
down and reading.
southbound on Fairview Road, in area 34 Fairview Road.
Yeah.
Seriously, take his
So
report
so,
away.
You know what? I don't, Mr. Lally, break this down. Ask
Yes.
simple questions so that the witness can answer your
And
questions.
take his report
We
away
don't
from
need a
him.
narrative.
Don't let him read off his report.
From your investigation, what, if any, conclusions
Dog
did you come to as to where this collision occurred?
So, all right. So on the night of Saturday, January 2022, at approximately 12:45 hours, a 2021 Lexus LX 570.
Could you slow down, sir?
So yes.
So forget all that, part, Trooper.
This is
Answer
going
the question.
terribly.
Where did it occur?
It occurred in the area 34 Fairview Road.
And who, if anyone, were the participants in this collision sequence?
They're English Bulldogs game.
The operator appeared to be Karen Reed,
Oh.
and the pedestrian was John O'Keefe.
And where was the vehicle located in reference to the residents of 34 Fairview?
It was located along the southbound travel lane and to the left side of the house as you look at it from the front.
And as far as the vehicle, what, if any, directionality did it head in, and what, if any, interaction did it have with Mr. O'Keefe?
So the vehicle was traveling in reverse along the southbound travel lane, traveling north.
And how fast was the vehicle traveling and over what distance?
The vehicle traveled up to 24 miles per hour and approximately 62 feet.
And at the time that the vehicle was traveling approximately 24 miles per hour over approximately 62 feet, what, if anything, occurred then?
The right rear of the Lexus struck the pedestrian John O'Keefe.
And post-collision, what, if anything, occurred with regard to Mr. O'Keefe?
Mr. O'Keefe was projected forward and to the left along the front yard of 34 Fairview Road.
And post-collision with Mr. O'Keefe, what, if anything, did the defendant's vehicle do?
The Lexus continued traveling in reverse before they left the area.
Now, as far as the vehicle itself, from your inspection, what, if any, role did any mechanical aspects of the vehicle play in this collision?
There were no mechanical defects.
As far as your analysis of the roadway and other factors related to that, what, if any, role did they play in this collision sequence?
There were no roadway or environmental factors that contribute to this collision.
Now, sir, with respect to your investigation, what, if any, opinions did you draw based on your training and experience in regard to this collision and how it occurred?
May I look at my report real quick?
No.
Just to make sure.
Yes.
Boo. Boo. The old refreshing the memory.
Right.
Ugh.
So throughout my investigation, this appeared to be a single car collision involving a pedestrian. The vehicle was traveling at a higher acceleration when
He's struggling. Oh my God! What a horrible witness.
the vehicle accelerated at a high rate of speed before she struck the pedestrian John O'Keefe on the roadway and subsequently left him at the scene.
Oh my God, this is
With
bad.
respect to the backup safety system that you observed in this vehicle and made use of in the course of your visibility analysis, what, if any, role is it your opinion that played in how this crash occurred?
Based on the visibility analysis. So even if the camera systems were covered in snow, even the systems were defective anyway, and even the mirrors were blocked, an attentive and a reasonable operator would not travel in reverse, especially at a high rate of speed. They would have cleaned the mirrors off. They would have made the cameras and systems, if they worked, they didn't work. They would have done all this prior to accelerating in reverse.
The objection sustained.
Move to strike.
I'm going to strike that.
Now, with respect to your observations
Oh,
during the course
man.
of the visibility analysis, the exemplar pedestrian that you placed in the right rear of the vehicle, was that exemplar pedestrian visible to you at the time that you conducted that visibility analysis?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, this is not how you want your witness questioning to go.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Okay, cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so it looks like he can't testify about the collision. It's pretty sad when their accident reconstruction expert gets told by the judge, no, you can't reconstruct an accident.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of mathematics?
I do not.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of physics?
I do not.
Hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of biomechanics?
No.
How about in engineering?
No.
How about in kinematics?
No.
What's the highest degree that you do hold, sir?
I have an associate's degree.
In
Oh,
what?
Jesus Christ.
Administration of justice.
He doesn't
You
even
mentioned
have a
kinematics
bachelor's degree.
on Friday. Do you hold any certificates in the specific area of kinematics?
Yes, it's covered in the basic crash investigation classes.
Okay, so you took a class, in other words, correct?
Class.
Multiple classes.
Oh,
Use the idea of what kinematics is, right?
Correct.
Testified about that on Friday.
Yes.
Define kinematics, George.
It deals with the aspect of motion.
It's a subfield of what broader field?
Kinematics.
Kinematics is a subfield of what broader discipline of science?
I'm not sure.
Oh, my Lord, dude.
Physics, correct?
Yes.
And it describes how points
Even
and
I know
objects,
it's physics.
systems of objects, how they move and how the rate they move and the rate of their velocity, correct?
The rate of their velocity?
Yeah, it deals with emotions.
What's that called? The rate of velocity. What's another word for that?
Speed.
The rate of velocity?
Right.
I mean, it deals with the
Say speed.
motion. It deals with forward
Say speed.
and also deals with speed. It deals
There you
with
go.
travel and speed. If something's moving, it also has a speed to it.
Right. The word you're looking for is acceleration.
Okay.
correct?
All right.
Sure.
That works too.
What role does acceleration play in the field of kinematics?
What role does acceleration play in kinematics?
Right.
It talks about, like you just said, it talks about the speed and talks about motion.
He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That is absolutely clear.
Kinematics, also known as the geometry of motion. Is that correct?
I have not heard that.
Never heard that. What's the difference between constrained and unconstrained motion?
Constrained and unconstrained motion.
Don't know.
That's what I asked.
Constrained motion. I can't recollect at the moment.
Constrained motion is motion on a predetermined path, isn't it?
Yes.
Unconstrained motion is what?
When doesn't have a predetermined path.
Free movement, right?
Correct.
Can you remember that from your class?
For the most part, we don't go that in depth. Constrained and unconstrained.
Constrained and unconstrained, not restrained.
That's what I said. Sorry, unconstrained. Yes.
Kinematics uses
All right, I'm gonna-
algebraic formula to model these
In the middle of this
motions,
murder, I'm
right?
going to bring in
Motions
Aussie
of these
Overload.
Points, systems of points, correct?
Yes.
Murder you, sir.
And it includes concepts like displacement and speed, velocity, distance, acceleration, which we've talked about, correct?
Correct.
And it looks at how these things, these values vary over a point in time or duration in time. Is that right? Do
Yes.
you actually understand the physics behind the study of kinematics?
Yes.
The word you learned in class.
Yes, we had to go over the physics part of it.
On Friday, you said that this incident is a pedestrian strike from a vehicle. You reiterated that again this morning. Is that right?
Correct.
I want to be clear, that is your opinion based on your training and experience, correct?
Yes.
And on Friday, you said you based that opinion on the fact that you noted a half-mile-an-hour decrease in speed and a steering input of less than 10 degrees at some point in that reverse motion, correct?
I said that was consistent. That data point in general was consistent. It was something that you would see within data of a pedestrian strike or striking something else. I do go in my report saying I can't say that's definitively where a pedestrian was struck, but
I'm sorry, but there.
it wasn't definitively. Sorry, in my report I do say I can't say that is definitively where the pedestrian struck.
Cannot say
Definitively, yes.
Okay, so you're going to have to slow down and speak up, okay?
All right.
This
You
is
said, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, and I apologize.
Okay.
You said you cannot say definitively that that resulted in a pedestrian.
he's going to
strike.
cry.
That data point within the text stream data is what I'm talking about.
Okay,
That specific point, that time frame.
because there's
God,
a
next thing I have Jackson on trial for
multitude
slaughter.
of reasons why when someone is driving in reverse, they might slow down by a half a mile an hour, right?
It's when I say when it's consistent, it's because there's the other aspects of it is the fact that the accelerator is consistently strong.
Let him answer. Finish your answer.
So the accelerator is I think a constant rate, and then it just drops by half a mile, and the steering wheel all of a sudden abruptly goes to the right. That's what I'm talking about when I say it is consistent with a pedestrian strike. That's something that you would see. It's not going to be a huge change of speed during this collision.
You also note that at the time, it had begun to snow, correct?
Yes,
There would be snow on the lawn, right?
correct.
There would be snow on the cars,
Yes,
snow on the trees,
yes,
snow on the roadway.
yes,
Snow on the roadway could impact how tires move over the roadway, correct?
in a way.
And obviously, there are a multitude of reasons why somebody might input a 10-degree input on a steering wheel, right?
Correct. That's why I said I couldn't definitively say it.
Right. So every time somebody slows down, going in reverse or forward, and introduces a 10-degree input on the steering wheel,
Say it.
doesn't mean they're looking to hit a pedestrian.
Yes,
correct?
you said it.
Correct.
You testified that you determined the area of impact by basically following, if I heard your testimony correctly, basically following the debris field from the body from where you believed John O'Keefe's body's final resting place was, almost linearly to the furthermost piece of debris that was found. Did I get that right?
Yes.
In other words, you established what in your mind, or what you were told was his final resting place, and what you were told was the debris field. And you indicated that the furthermost piece of debris would basically be the area of impact, right?
It's within that line. I didn't say that is the area impact where the furthermost piece of evidence is.
All right.
It's just the linear, like you said earlier, it's that linear. We're going that path. That's the path that he traveled post impact with the vehicle.
And that is on which that fact that you stated is on which it's a terrible question. That's the basis
Dude is
for
not
your
enjoying
opinion
this.
of where the area of impact was,
I
correct?
am.
Yes.
Let's take a look at exhibit, with the court's permission, 587. It's your diagram 3. If I may approach on just for
Okay.
Oh man, he's getting killed. Hi, Ozzy. What's
He
up?
looks so despondent.
Oh, dude, it's been bad already.
Really?
He,
He does look like a dollar store
Yeah,
Voldemort.
Yes.
he was flustered on direct. It was sad.
What?
I felt. Oh yeah.
Your Honor, did we publish
Did
exhibit
Lally
587?
prepping at all?
Yes.
Probably too much. He wasn't able to he would remember what he memorized. Even the judge had to say, "Dude, you're not making any damn sense. Stop it."
Oh, God.
Okay. So you see diagram 3 on the board. You also have it in front of you, correct?
Yes.
It's easier for you to refer to what's in front of you because that's a little bit further away. Just let me know.
Okay.
The red arrows adjacent to the blue writing, where I'm highlighting right now, indicate basically the debris field that you explained to the jurors on Friday, correct?
Yes.
And then there's a point of an arrow that comes back to a wording that says pedestrian's final rest, basically right there, correct?
Yes.
And the debris field ends right in the middle of that spotlight, correct?
Yes.
All right. So that's the area of impact that you indicated to Mr. Lally you believe occurred because of the debris field and the linear portion of that debris field going from the pedestrian's final rest all the way out to that final little red arrow that says red plastic B in parentheses, correct?
Yes.
Donna, can we have exhibit 492 published to the juror, please?
Okay.
Approach.
Yes.
Wow.
While that's coming up, have you ever seen this?
No, I haven't.
Take a look just above the
He saw
arrow.
this last week, didn't he?
Maybe highlight or magnify the area just above
Different
the
piece of
arrow.
plastic?
You see that
Yes, I do.
right underneath fire hydrant, correct?
Correct.
What does that look like to you?
Piece of plastic.
It's debris, correct?
Correct.
Can we go back with the court's permission to
Hey,
exhibit
Holly. Congratulations, I guess.
87?
Okay.
Diagram 3.
Oh, look, a ruler.
Fire hydrant?
Yes.
Fire hydrant's right there, correct?
Correct.
That's another, according to your scale, that's probably 30 feet from the pedestrian's final rest, correct?
Well,
Yeah,
Oops.
that's about right.
That is the furthermost in this diagram, the furthermost piece of debris on the diagram, correct?
Correct.
So now your testimony changed that this, in fact, is the area of impact?
No,
Why not?
because it's just a piece of debris. I'm talking about the path. You follow the path of debris field. Debris can move and change.
The debris doesn't fly backward, does it?
I'm saying you pointed to like just the fire hydrant as the area impact where the debris, where that one piece of plastic was. Saying
How did it get there
the area
then?
impact is right next to the fire hydrant.
How hard would it have had to be hit for a piece of?
Yeah, that's what you said, right?
I'm asking you,
I'm making sure I'm understanding what you're saying.
You're clearly
so I
not.
can answer the right.
Ask the question again, Mr. Jackson.
in fact, you indicated on Friday that your analysis of the area of impact was predicated on, based on, the furthermost piece of debris from the pedestrian's body that you were aware of, which is right there. Red plastic B, correct?
I said I said you said earlier with the linear equation. I mean, it might have moved it
Linear
over more,
equation?
but
What
the debris, the start of that debris,
Breathe.
the one that is, I can't say that's definitely the point of area impact or the point of impact.
You can't.
I cannot say that is the point of impact right there. You just kind of follow the linear path because they have to follow.
You're
an
the
indirect
goddamn
path that way.
reconstruction
So now
expert.
you're
Where is the
telling me
point of
that's
impact?
not the area of impact.
I never said that was the area impact. I said it's after that.
Trooper, we were all here on Friday.
Okay.
It's exactly what you said under questioning by Mr. Lally, wasn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Didn't you say
Did
on
you see
Friday
Eddie's expression? He's
that
like,
you determined the area of impact for Mr. O'Keefe? The point of impact was red plastic B because that was the furthermost piece of debris you were aware of from the final point of rest for Mr. O'Keefe's body. Isn't that what you said?
I don't believe that's my exact words.
Okay.
Well, the point,
I'm not
even if
asking
you did
it
say
was
that, that should be
exact,
incorrect.
I don't have a transcript of it. I'm asking you, is that what you tried to impart to the jurors?
What I said to the jury, I said after that. That's the start of that's the last point of evidence that I had. I said the area impact is probably along the roadway after that point. I mean, like before it, through after you walk towards him.
I'm sorry, I keep doing that because I think you're done. Are you done?
I am done now.
Now you're aware that there's a piece
That
of
you were
debris,
done long ago.
looks like taillight material, right under the fire hydrant, correct?
Correct.
If the area of impact, which you indicated on Friday was where this red plastic B is, you would be wrong, right? Your analysis would be flawed.
No, because that's not what I said. I said it's along the roadway and it's going to be after that point.
Okay, so is the area of impact now where the fire hydrant is?
Objection.
Ask it differently.
Are you now indicating, because now you realize that there's a piece of debris directly under the fire hydrant, are you now indicating that that's the area of impact where John O'Keefe's body was struck?
Objection.
Sustained.
Let's take a look at exhibit, with the court's permission, 279.
Okay.
man.
Take a look at exhibit 279. I want to draw your attention to that piece right there, of plastic. You see it?
Yes.
You describe it for me. Just physically, what does that look like?
It looks like clear plastic with a little bit of red and black on the top part.
Okay. Maybe in a triangular shape. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if we could go back
Shock
to,
tooth.
with the court's permission, exhibit 492,
Okay.
and highlight just above the ruler. How would you describe that piece of material?
It looks like the same piece.
Does that, based on that, does that appear to be part of the taillight material that was found at the scene?
Correct.
Okay. Now, based on that, are you now suggesting, if we could go with the court's permission, if we could go back to 587, I'll stop jumping around just a second. I think we
Okay.
just get back to 587. Oh, sorry, the diagram. Thanks. Okay. Now, seeing what you just now seen in terms of that piece of plastic that appears to be from the taillight, does that appear to be under the fire hydrant, which is highlighted? Same piece.
Yes.
Okay. Based on that, does that change your opinion? Is that now, the fire hydrant now, the point of impact?
No.
Where's the point of impact now?
It's along the roadway. I don't know the exact point of impact.
You're the
Can I-
accident
So you
reconstruction
don't know the
expert.
area of impact.
I said the area impact is along the roadway after the debris.
Okay.
I mean, only thing it would change, only thing it would change is maybe it's a little further away. But besides that, it's still.
Oh my God, this is bad.
It's a linear field. I'm not talking about like one point. It's you kind of follow the middle of the debris field. And that should be the
Does
path.
a linear field mean?
Well, if the point of impact is along the roadway, where along the roadway, you can show the jurors where along the roadway, in your expert opinion, was the point of impact?
It should be within, if you follow from pedestrian's final rest here, just kind of follow back. That's what I'm talking about, linear field. I can,
So now you've indicated an area, I can follow your laser pointer, an area along here, correct?
yes, somewhere in there.
All right, if I have my spotlight, is that, if I leave it right there, is that about where the middle of the spotlight, about where you believe the area of impact is?
It's within, I guess you can say it's within that area. I don't know definitely.
Well, it's
something
right in front
on
of the
roadway
fire
that has a
hydrant, you
definitive
fuckwit.
point that says this is the area impact right here. It's within the roadway based on the evidence at the scene.
Mr. Trooper Paul, I'm asking you, based on your expert opinion and your conclusions, based on your full analysis, can you point me to within an area of 5 feet or so on the roadway where you believe the area of impact is? Is my spotlight basically highlighting the area that you believe, in your opinion, is the area of impact?
Do you have that laser pointer?
I do.
Why don't we let him show
Effing
you? It'd be
use it.
easier for the jury to
Yeah.
see.
So what I'm trying to say is, so we follow the linear path back around this area.
Okay, can you,
And sorry, I'm trying to keep it straight as much as I can. Follow back to here. I can't say like if this is definitely is, but it's possibly based on also vehicle damage to the back of the vehicle. So if you follow all the way back to here, that could be a possible area impact.
so when you say that area there, just, I want to be very clear for the record, that what you highlighted is an area basically just to the left of an X that's on the roadway, on the bottom of diagram 3, toward the lower part of diagram 3,
It's,
correct?
you would use your circle almost to kind of be a good area around.
Sorry.
You can use a circle around here. This would be around the area.
Look how badly he's
Okay.
shaking.
So using your scale, that scale is going from full left to full right, it's plus or minus 40 feet, right?
Switch, can't see it. So say again, say the question.
That scale is 40 feet, going full left, full right, 40 feet.
It's 40 feet. It's a 10-foot scale.
Okay, sorry, 20 feet, my mistake.
Okay.
I was terrible. 20 feet, thank you. All right, so if you use that scale, can you estimate for the jurors? I'm just going to use this X as a starting point. You estimate for the jurors from this X that I've highlighted to the pedestrian's final rest. What's that number? Doesn't have to be exact. Give me an estimate.
So, I mean, it could be within 30 feet because
It knocked him 30
on my
feet.
scale, this 2 and 3
Fuck off.
is 50 feet from each other.
Is how much?
50.
Okay.
Well, that makes it so much more believable.
So would you agree that from this X down here to pedestrian's final rest, as the crow flies, that's probably a good 35, 40 feet.
I mean, I could try to use the scale, but it's me as a scale.
If you would
But
mind.
yeah, that's why you have scales, so you can use them.
You need a piece of paper?
Yes, please.
I don't know why I feel bad for this guy. He put himself in this situation.
With permission?
Okay.
He agreed to be the expert. I don't have any sympathy for him whatsoever.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right, well, he's doing that.
You need a pen?
I got one. Thank you.
Mathis agrees with the €5. Says, I understand that directed verdicts are unicorns, but what is even the scintilla of evidence to support intent? I don't recall any mens rea evidence. Not yet. Not yet. Other than they had an argument in Aruba. Yeah, they had an argument in Aruba a month before. And Jake with the $1.99 super chat. Can we just call it a script instead of a report? Yeah, I think that would be fair. We can do that. Jonathan Drennan with the $5. I honestly feel bad for this guy. This almost seems like
it's approximately 30 feet.
He's not comfortable with it. Even he doesn't believe what he's saying. Right.
Can you place, with the court's permission, can you estimate 30 feet in here?
Can
you point to a place in the courtroom that looks like it's 30 feet from you?
Objection.
No. Next question.
Does the court have a diagram?
Come on, why not?
A diagram of distances?
In this courtroom? No.
You indicated just now, and I'm finished with this. Thank you. Thanks. You indicated just now in answer to Mr. Lalley's last couple of questions that in your expert opinion, when the SUV struck pedestrian John O'Keefe, he was, quote, projected forward and to the left to the front yard to his final place of rest.
Yes.
So your expert testimony is that John O'Keefe was hit with the SUV and flew 30 feet.
Projected mean like I don't say he flew all the way there. He was projected in that way. He got pushed forward in that direction.
So what? He was still walking and he stumbled in that direction?
Landed there, that's sort of fly there, right? Didn't walk there.
I mean, would you definitely flying like literally off the ground the whole entire time, or?
Well, you tell me. You're the expert.
I mean, when we say projected, we mean it's projected, and they usually have a landing phase, and they land, and then they either roll or tumble to final rest.
Okay, how far do you think he landed? How far was it until he landed of that 30 feet?
I don't know. There's no indication of where his exact landing spot was.
Is there any evidence whatsoever that he landed and rolled?
And there was no evidence that he landed or rolled. Or no, rolled.
No evidence he landed.
In front of you is that you get hit.
He's still orbiting the earth. How hard he got hit.
Right?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Based on your expert opinion.
Ground control to John
you believe that he was
O'Keefe.
projected through the air to his final rest place.
That's not what I'm saying.
But you said there's no evidence that he rolled.
And there's no evidence that he flew through the air either.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
Objection.
Sustained.
Oh, he asked a question. He said exactly right.
That was beautiful.
You said on Friday that in your experience, people tend to lose objects that are not strapped to them. Is that right?
Yes.
So you've lost your
In other words,
goddamn mind,
You're hit
right?
by something, car, truck, bus, whatever, train. And if you have something in your hand, boom, you lose it, you drop it. If it's not strapped to you, correct?
Correct.
He has no bruises,
How do
but
you
he
suppose
flew
that
30
Mr.
feet.
O'Keefe, in your opinion, held on to that glass cup that was found right next to him over the course of 30 feet being projected.
Objection.
I'll allow it. Do you
Yeah.
have a theory on that?
I don't know. I mean, it just could have been with him the whole way. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know how the glass
don't know. I wasn't
stayed with
there.
his body and went with him to the
I
final
wasn't
rest.
there.
I mean,
You're not a witness. You're a reconstruction expert. Your entire job is predicated on you not being
It's possible.
there.
It could have been in his hand. It could have been tucked next to his clothing. Could
Did you say tucked in?
I mean, like, could have been next to his body. So when he projected, maybe the glass was with his body as it was also flying. So there's a number of reasons why the glass, because it also got projected with the body
Well,
while he was holding it.
I thought you said on Friday, you
This
disagreed
fool
with me that
knows
people
the math
drop
doesn't add up.
and they're hit.
Yes, but I think not everything it tends to fly off. I mean, some stuff flies off, some stuff will stay on.
I see.
It's not uncommon to find piece of clothing and stuff, that you find at the scene.
Piece of clothing.
Like clothing, like shoes, and stuff like that
Apparently,
to come
little
off
miss,
the body
apparently.
during a pedestrian crash.
Well, that's not what I asked.
I know, I'm just saying, you asked me, you said I'm just responding to what you said. and trying to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
You're supposed to respond to the question.
No, I don't, but I'll
Yeah.
ask another question. Shoes are strapped on by definition, right?
Yes, but it's very common for shoes to come off.
How about a cell phone?
Cell phone, yeah, it depends. Depends on where it is.
Well, it was under his body.
Okay.
How do you account for that? He held onto a cell phone with one hand and held onto a cup with the other.
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
I like how she's just not saying move on. She's like,
The
just
cell
try
phone was
again.
found under his torso, under his body. What's your theory on how that cell phone ended up flying 30 feet with him?
It just did.
It just did.
Just did. And somehow, as he landed, tucked that cell phone underneath his body, so he landed on top of it.
It just
guy's
did.
watching his career go
That's
up in
the evidence at the
flames.
scene. I didn't put the evidence there. So
Well,
All right, so jurors, I've told
Who
you
did put the
lawyers
evidence there?
cannot make comments, so disregard it. Mr. Jackson,
Who
don't do
did
it
put
again.
the evidence there, Mr. Paul?
So-
You understand, but don't do it. Your answer's always, I understand. Don't do it.
yes, Sean. Cell phone in one hand, cup in the other hand, flew through the air, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
You were informed of this incident on January 29th, 2022 at about 2:30 in the afternoon. Is that right?
yes,
At the time, you were working out of the CARS facility, which is located on West Grove Street in Middleborough. Is that right?
yes,
By the way, that's a facility that has multiple garages. Sally Port's.
Oh,
I don't know if
mark
they call
off
it Sally
cracked
Port's,
tail
but
light
garage
on your
bays, correct?
the tail
The,
light, broken
mechanic
tail light
shop
on
is right there.
your bingo
The
card.
mechanic shop
yes.
is if you're going to review, for instance, for purposes of reconstruction, if you're going to review a vehicle, is the vehicle placed in those mechanics bays?
No, not there. That's for state police vehicles.
Okay, so where are the mechanics bays? Sorry, reverse that. Where are the Sally Ports where you do your analysis, your reconstruction, your
Excuse me.
review of the vehicle, inspections, things of that nature?
We don't have Sally ports for that.
You don't have anything dedicated to that?
No, the only time we would use a Sally port is the crime scene would have some Sally ports that they would do to document their crime scene stuff. And I've gone there, they've done my inspections, but most of our inspections are done either at the tow yard or some type of facility for that.
Ultimately, was this SUV ever taken to the Middleborough facility?
Yes, it was.
Where was it placed?
There's a fenced-in area.
Mark
inside
off body
it's a
on
fenced-in
front lawn
area
too, by the way.
Is it outside or inside?
outside.
Okay. Did it remain outside in that fenced-in area the whole time?
I don't know the exact time. It was there for a while, then it got moved.
Where did it get moved to?
I'm not sure exactly where they moved it immediately after I left Middleborough.
Are you familiar with the Foxborough location at MSD?
Yes.
That have Sally ports or bays for inspection and evaluation?
It has garages in it, but we wouldn't use them. We don't normally use those garages for inspections.
Is it possible to use those garages for inspections?
It is possible.
Okay. It's happened before, correct?
I've not used the inspection in the garages.
But if,
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up and
Sorry,
speak
yes.
slowly.
but you know they could be used.
Sorry.
You know that those bays could be used for inspections or analysis.
Bingo,
or
wow.
Evaluation, if needed, correct?
Yes.
Wow.
Given the fact that the SUV that was being seized on January 29th was being seized as potential evidence, best practices would suggest that you want to get it in and out of the bad weather, the inclement weather, as quickly as possible, correct? You wouldn't want to subject it to continued forces from nature like rain, wind, snow, sleet, hail, right?
That would be beneficial, yes.
All right. You're aware that
Boy, it's
Foxborough,
dog cam
the
too.
Foxborough location and the Middleborough location with the mechanics base are all closer to Dighton than Canton, right?
Both Foxborough and
Foxborough and Middleborough are both closer to Dighton than Canton. In other words, you have to pass by, depending on which way you go, pass by Middleborough, pass by Foxborough to get to Canton.
so from where?
From Dayton, sorry.
So from Dayton.
Where the vehicle was seized in
Yeah.
all going toward Canton. You pass by either Middleborough or Foxborough to get to Canton, correct?
I don't believe you'd pass by Middleborough to get to Canton, but you passed by Foxborough.
All right. The car was not taken to Foxborough, was it?
No.
As a matter of fact, the car was taken basically double the distance all the way to Canton to that Sally Port, correct?
Objection.
Do you know that? Is that double the distance?
I don't know the exact distance. I know it was in Canton.
And you know it's fine to Canton,
From Dayton, yes.
right?
Did his phone just go off? Oh,
And you're
good
also
God.
aware that
That was
you've been to
correct.
the scene,
Sorry.
assuming, correct?
Thought I had the audio off.
Yes, I have.
And you've been to Canton, PD.
Yes, I have.
You know, those two locations are about 3-4 minutes apart.
Yeah, I can say that.
When you started let me ask this a little bit different way. Before you began any review on this case, any physical review on this case or analysis on the case, you were told that there had been a crash, correct?
Yes.
You testified to that at the state court grand jury in this matter. Is that right? That you've been told in advance this was a vehicle pedestrian crash, and you were asked to analyze it, right?
Yes.
You wrote in your report that it was a single vehicle collision involving a pedestrian, and you were, quote, assigned to reconstruct that collision, correct?
Yes.
So when you began your analysis, to recall, you were told conclusively by the lead investigator, Michael Proctor, that the deceased was hit by a car, and your job was to reconstruct it. Is that right?
Objection.
Okay, so there are lots of parts to that. Break it down.
Sure. Were you told by Michael Proctor to reconstruct this incident?
Objection.
So were you told that by Chief of Proctor?
I was not.
Okay, next question.
Sure. Who were you told, who were you given your instructions by?
Instructions for what?
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Incident.
To
I wasn't
reconstruct
given
the
instructions
accident.
to reconstruct it. It's just I was assigned to it.
Right.
That was requested. My assistance was requested to reconstruct it.
That's my
And who
By
did that?
whom?
assigned you to it.
I talked to my sergeant at the time who gave me the phone call.
Hayden, hit that
you were
one
told
button you have that I
some
don't.
basics about that reconstruction, the event that you were asked to reconstruct, correct?
Yes.
Information that you were told came from
You
the
know which
case
one.
officer. Is that right?
Oh, I
Who's
had
the
Santa Fe
case
call.
officer?
The information that this was
That's the one.
a pedestrian vehicle incident, as opposed to.
Oh, I figured it was either that.
motor vehicle incident,
No, I'm not going to play the other one.
Pedestrian bicycle, motor vehicle, motorcycle. You were told it was a motor vehicle pedestrian incident that you were asked to reconstruct, correct?
Yeah, I was told that. Yes.
All right, and you had to be given some basic parameters of what that incident, how that incident occurred. Car was going in reverse, it's got a damaged taillight, things like that.
Some basic stuff. Yeah.
What I'm asking is, I'm trying to get to is, who gave you that information? Where'd it come from?
That the car was traveling in reverse. Like which part of the information you asked me several different things just now.
Were you given information from multiple sources? Or did someone give you a summary of what you were being asked to do? At the very beginning,
Yep.
who gave you the summary?
Summary of the whole entire of what?
Of the event that you were asked to reconstruct?
I was passed down when I got to the garage. That there was nobody that sat there and gave me the summary like that I can remember. I was told that it was a pedestrian crash. I knew it was a Boston police officer involved. That this was the vehicle,
Oh, you were told.
and that it was traveling in reverse. That's all they had.
Okay. What I'm asking is, that's great. Thank you for the summary. Who gave you that summary?
I don't know if it was definitely anybody from the get-go that was
Okay,
like
which
I talked to.
agency engaged you?
I don't know if it's anybody that I could definitely say that was the person. There was multiple people going around.
Well, you just got it through
when I got
osmosis.
there.
Who
I think I talked
handed
to
you the
Trooper
report?
Zach Clark. He was doing the crime scene. I think he was Zach Clark. He was the crime scene photos at the time. I knew him from past crashes. He just said this is the vehicle, and I think he kind of gave me a little bit of a lowdown on what the vehicle was.
Okay.
So
My question is this, when you got that, did you call it a lowdown? He gave you the lowdown?
He gave me information, yes.
Right, when you got the lowdown, you were told Boston police officer was involved, the vehicle pedestrian incident, car was going in reverse, ultimately led to the death of the pedestrian. Struck the pedestrian in reverse, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you were assigned specifically to try to reconstruct that incident.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the phrase confirmation bias?
I know the phrase, yes.
You know what it means?
I can't definitely say what it means.
Oh my God.
Developing a conclusion and then trying to find evidence to fit that conclusion. Does that sound right?
You say so.
Which is pretty much what Proctor did the whole way through this.
This guy has no clue about
You
anything.
noted in your direct examination that there were scratches on the passenger side rear bumper of the Lexus, correct?
Yes.
How exactly were you able to scientifically determine that any of those scratches were from an incident on January 29th, 2022, as opposed to any other time?
I didn't have anything else on the time. Is that those scratches happened prior to this collision?
I'm sorry.
I didn't have any information that those scratches were caused from a prior collision.
What?
And
He was
so
hit more than
when,
once?
when I looked at the evidence, I knew it was in that same area, the right rear tail light. So when I looked at it, it didn't quite fit the pedestrian thing. So
Excuse
when
me?
he showed me the video, or I saw the video like a year ago on Court TV, I said that could be.
You asked the question, so next,
I
keep
did.
going.
Responsive.
He's answering. Next
trying to
question. Then
Guess
go
how
ahead.
scientific
Hold on.
thought the scratches were.
Hold on. Ask
Sorry.
your question, Mr. Jackson.
You know what normal wear and tear on a vehicle is, right?
Yes.
Hang on, I've got to shut the
Bumpers
window.
get
It's cold
scratched.
in here.
Myriad ways, correct?
Correct.
Scratched in a grocery store parking lot, right?
Yes.
Shopping cart can bounce
John
off
Vader,
the car,
apparently.
Scratch the bumper, scratch the side of the car, a quarter panel or something, right?
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to go through it, but there's thousands and thousands and thousands of ways that a car can get a scratch, correct?
Correct.
My question
Okay,
is,
car.
do you, as you
That's
sit
how
here,
insane this is.
do
I
you have any
couldn't follow.
scientific evidence that those scratches occurred on January 29th at approximately 12:45 a.m.?
What do you mean by scientific evidence?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Do you have any evidence whatsoever that you can point to that those scratches occurred on that date and at that time, rather than any other time in the history of that vehicle?
Like I said earlier, the video seems to appear that's what it looks like that could have been from.
Well,
Could
you
have
said on Friday, let's talk about those scratches for a second.
Okay.
When you testified Friday, you were pretty clear. You said that, if I can find it exactly.
And while he's finding that, make sure you mark off Marks on O'Keefe on your bingo card. And by the way, this is not severe cross-examination.
Sure.
It's not
No, this is
severe
severe
cross-examination. Yeah. People were asking, do we check off severe cross-examination? No, this is, we mark
You
off
said,
severe
quote,
cross-examination. That's when
the
they can't
dent and
remember
scratches
anything. He just
for his
doesn't know
hand
anything.
could be, those are consistent with striking the Lexus. Remember saying that?
Yes, on the tailgate.
Okay, so the dent and scratches we talked about on Friday, you said were from his hand.
Yes, hand in the glass cup.
Okay. Then are those the same scratches you're talking about in terms of the bumper?
No.
So,
What are you talking about? The scratch inside the bumper that we've been talking about?
correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm
No.
talking about. Okay. Is there any way to scientifically date a scratch?
No.
was good.
You go out in the parking lot right now, even as an accident reconstructionist. You walk out in the parking lot right now and look at a Toyota Camry sitting there. It's got a scratch on it. There's no analysis that you could engage in to date that scratch, could you?
Objection.
So you can ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Is there any way that you could, in general, look at a scratch and say, that scratch is from such and such date?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Nothing more.
I'll allow it.
You cannot say. You can look at evidence and shows that it may have been older than what the newer evidence would be, but there's no way to say that specific date and time and that a scratch would came from.
Right. And it's possible that any or all of those scratches on the Lexus could have predated January 29th, correct?
No,
What?
That's not possible.
the ones that are on from the taillight and the other parts of it.
Scratches anywhere on the car.
Dents, scratches,
Depends on what you
scrapes.
got to pick the other scratches. You got to show me other scratches on the car.
I'm saying it's possible, since you can't date the scratch, it's possible that any or all of those scratches could predate January 29th. It's a simple question, right? It's possible.
You're being pretty broad on your scratches here.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
I'm not being broad. Let me ask it a different way. Let me ask it again. Is
Did
it
you examine the
possible
oxidation on the
that
scratches
any
and
or all of the
dents?
Scratches noted on that
Was there
car
paint transfer potentially from another
predate
car
January
hitting it?
29th?
Any and all of the scratches? See, that's what I'm saying. You're being pretty broad. Any and all scratches on the car
Answer that question.
that it predate. Objection. I don't know every single scratch on that car. I could mean.
well,
Overruled.
Are there
So,
any scratches in the
if you
vicinity of the
answer that
damaged
question-
area that could have been from
No.
before 29 January or whatever, whenever the fuck it was? This guy's making me lose my
Testifying, you
mind.
noted glass on the rear bumper of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
And you said something about that glass coming from the cup.
Correct.
You also said that you did not see anything on that SUV that could be the source of those glass pieces on the bumper, right?
Yes.
When you did your reconstruction and your analysis, were you informed that none of the glass pieces, not one of them, would be matched to the cup?
I don't know anything about that. I don't know that.
Okay, Mr.
So,
Accident Reconstruction
if you
expert.
knew that the glass pieces on the bumper do not match the cup, that change your opinion
Objection.
about that glass?
Can you answer that question?
I cannot.
You can't answer the question.
It's what was told to me as evidence
Got it. By whom?
by the crime scene.
He does look like he's about to cry.
Who told you?
As crime scene that was there, it says this glass from the cup. When I did my initial inspection, that's what it was on from.
That's not what you just said. You said that's what was told to me.
Yeah, by crime. Yeah, I said by crime scene. While I was at my
The
inspection,
crime scene told you?
it was told to me by the crime scene when I was at my inspection, at the initial inspection.
So what you meant by that's what was told to me is the crime scene talked to you.
Yes.
Oh my fucking hell.
Crime scene say anything else?
I don't know what else you want me to say.
Did Trooper Proctor tell you that
Oh,
the
dude.
pieces of glass on the bumper somehow associated with the cup?
No.
Just the crime scene told you.
Correct.
The crime scene was incorrect. And in fact,
The crime scene lied to you.
That changed your opinion?
Objection.
Sustained.
Would it change your opinion in any way if you knew that the glass pieces do not match the cup?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Can you answer that question?
No.
I'm sorry. No, you.
I don't. It's a glass from a cup. It's a glass. It's not, it doesn't belong to the vehicle.
Right.
It's glass.
But if I told you it didn't match that cup,
What?
your opinion?
The glass that was found
Objection.
doesn't match the evidence that was found at the scene.
Are we
So you
talking
should be
which cup?
taking into account in your
Maybe
reconstruction.
that's which cup we're talking about.
How
Oh
many
my
cups
God.
have we been talking about, Trooper?
You said that cup. One from the scene? Okay.
That
I just want to make sure that we're on the clear path here. I'm clear what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay. All I said, it's
Found next to John
You're an
O'Keefe's
idiot!
body in the snow at 34 Fairview on January 29th, 2022. You got the cup in mind?
yes.
Okay. That's the cup. When I say cup, that's the cup.
Okay.
Would it change your opinion if I told you that the glass pieces on the bumper don't match that cup.
What's my opinion on it? All I said was glass from a cup. That's the only opinion I had. It's glass from a cup that was on a bumper.
Are you saying a cup?
A cup.
How
A
do
cup.
you know it was from a cup?
It's not glass from the car.
And it's not glass from the cup.
That was my opinion on it.
How do you know
never
it wasn't
said
just
matched
random
to
trash?
The scene.
You didn't.
I never said that. My thing. I said it's glass from a cup.
Okay. It's safe to say you didn't do any testing to determine the forces necessary to shatter a taillight on a 2021 Lexus 570, right?
I did not do testing.
Your report indicates, we've talked about this a little bit. I'm going to go back to something we talked about earlier this morning. Your report indicates that John O'Keefe came to his final resting place about 7 feet from the roadway, and that's what you based your diagram on, correct?
Yes.
Who told you that number?
I measured it from my diagram.
You should say that again.
I measured it from the diagram.
Okay, what I'm asking is how did it get on the diagram? In other words, who told you that his body was 7 feet from the roadway?
Well, wait, I was told by Lieutenant, was it Gallagher, Paul Gallagher, Canton PT. He told me this is where the body was found. Okay. So I used my devices to mark that location.
Oh, I used my devices.
Before you used your devices, he just pointed someplace on the ground and said he was about here, correct?
That's correct.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher tell you that Lieutenant Gallagher never saw John O'Keefe in place at the scene? Did you say that?
No.
Oh, dear.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher tell you that the first officer on the scene estimated his body at being approximately 15 to 20 feet from the roadway?
No.
If he had told you that it changed your diagram?
Objection.
Oh.
He told me this is where he was found. I marked that location. That's all that was.
And
you measured it on a diagram as opposed to the actual place.
Sorry, it was a terrible question. Every other item you marked based on a distance from where you were told John O'Keefe's body came to rest, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was by Lieutenant Gallagher just pointing at the ground and saying it was about here.
Correct.
Was there a single member of the team that was out when you were being shown where the body came from? Was there a single member of that team who actually said they saw John O'Keefe's body in place?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
What do you mean team? Canton PD?
Yeah,
Just stop.
Who was there with you when you started doing your measurements, et cetera?
I said Lieutenant Gallagher. That's who.
Just you and him?
And myself and I was training a trooper at the time. She was there.
You were training a trooper at the time?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
So
He was
I
training somebody.
assume that there were several, but just you and Lieutenant Gallagher.
Yes, that's why I was confused by the team.
All right. And again, Lieutenant Gallagher didn't tell you that he never saw John O'Keefe's body in place.
No, I don't think so.
You did document in your report that the items that you noted on your diagram that we just looked at a few minutes ago, those were found by the CERT team, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated in your report that the members of the CERT team located a single Nike sneaker that was noted on your report. Is that right? On
Correct.
your diagram, right?
Yes.
You also indicated that, quote, in the same area, 2 red plastic pieces and 1 clear piece of plastic of a taillight was discovered.
Yes.
So your report is clear that in total, the items discovered by the CERT team on January 29th were a shoe, right?
Yes.
A partial glass cup broken, correct?
Well, it was that on there. I can't remember if that's on their diagram or if that's what I was told at the scene, but yes.
Sure.
Yes.
You knew that a cup was found.
Yes.
You were told a cup was found.
Yes.
And 3 pieces of plastic, 2 red, 1 clear.
Yes.
Not 5 pieces of plastic, correct?
Correct.
You then measured those items, is that right?
I didn't, what do you mean measure them? Like
Measured
at
them
this,
relative to John O'Keefe's final place of rest. 10 feet from it, 12 feet from it, when we go over those measures.
yes, I used their report to place those items onto my diagram.
So, and that, I'm going to get to that question in just a second. I want to make sure that we walk through it sort of methodically. You then use some calculation, some tool or something to measure distances. Like there's where I assume John O'Keefe's body was. There's a final rest place. I'm going to use that as point A, and then I'm going to measure from there and go 7 feet to where the shoe was found, or the first red plastic piece was found, or whatever, right?
Yes.
Who told you where the pieces were found?
They were in Lieutenant Tully's report. He put measurements in his report.
Okay. And you noted that the shoe was 9 feet.
Yes,
Put that in your diagram.
correct.
You noted that the glass cup was 1 foot from John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
1 foot is about that long, right?
Yes, they basically said I was found next to him.
Right.
Yes.
A piece of red plastic 7 feet from John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
A clear plastic piece 10 feet from John O'Keefe's body, right?
Yes.
And a red plastic piece 12 feet from John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
What part of his body were you measuring from?
Like center of mass.
So he's 6'2".
Yes.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher tell you where his center mass was?
No, I measured from, he just said he was here. So I tried to put like where his head, where his feet, and try to measure the middle between those two.
So ultimately, because Lieutenant Gallagher was not at the scene when he was found, Lieutenant Gallagher had to sort of guess where the body was found, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
So his entire report is on
You had no
unsubstantiated
photographs
measurements.
of John O'Keefe in place, correct?
Correct.
There were no
This is
establishing shots,
disgusting.
there were no perspective shots, correct?
Correct.
There were no relative shots, meaning this is relative to that, and I can measure that and figure out distances, correct?
What, like from a picture?
Yeah, so you know how that's done in science, right? You want to find out a relative position of something, so you take 2 or 3 or 4 shots. You know that something is never going to move, like, I don't know, a flagpole. You can measure from there.
Sure.
You get cross coordinates, right?
Sure.
Left and right, and where the 2 coordinates match, that's where the item is, right?
Correct.
None of that was done, right?
From the pictures?
None of that was done to do your measurements.
I use, like I said, I used the measurements from, I measured on my diagram in itself, and I measured from those points off my diagram.
Right. But the starting point was a guess, wasn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you have to sort of guess at where you thought John O'Keefe's body was?
I didn't guess where his body was.
Did you guess at his center of mass?
Objection.
Did you guess?
I did not guess.
Next question.
Rephrase it, Jackson. Were you definitively sure of where the body of mass was when you commenced measurements?
You stated in your report that you Google mapped Miss Reed's path of travel. Well, let me ask you a different question. If I could withdraw that question with court permission.
Yes.
Your diagram
Sucks.
has all those arrows pointing at specific locations. Very, very specific, very thin arrows that point, correct?
Yes.
If you start off with an incorrect assumption about where John O'Keefe's body was, right? Hypothetically, if you were to start off with an incorrect assumption where John O'Keefe's body was, every single item that you note on that diagram would then be off as well.
Objection.
Is that true?
Yes.
I mean, I guess hypothetically, depends on how off you want to be.
Oh my
The
God.
answer is yes, right?
Hypothetically.
How off you hypothetically. No,
You stated in your
Not
report that you
hypothetically.
Google mapped Miss Reed's path of travel.
it just is.
January 29th, based on what you determined to be, quote, it's likely the two, and you said that it's likely that the two events, meaning the triggering events, occurred at the same time the Lexus was at 34 Fairview at the time of the collision, correct?
Yes.
The first triggering event was what? Was it a 3-point turn or a U-turn? I thought I heard you say both.
I guess it would be more, 3-point turns, essentially, I guess it's a 3-point turn.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, did you say U-turn on Friday? I just want to heard that.
It could have been a U-turn. I mean, it's still turning around. So you had to make a U-turn when that's a 3-point turn or not, but it's still.
One is a U-turn and one is a
Not to be
3-point
picky,
turn.
but sort of my job.
It's right
Okay.
there in the name of
The
both.
U-turn, traveling in one direction, turning, right? Turning the wheel, never changing gear, since it's reverse or anything, it's just turning, right? A 3-point turn requires moving forward, stopping, changing gears, moving backward, stopping, changing gears, using steering input, and moving off, correct?
Correct.
Well, those are two very different maneuvers, right?
Yep.
You agree?
It's,
Yeah.
in a sense, I was trying to say she made a U-turn. Like you can say, when they made a U-turn, it's a 3-point turn. They're still making a U-turn. And
No, they're not
I didn't
making a
mean it as,
U-turn. They're
like,
turning
she
around.
literally had to make a direct U-turn. She was turning around, and obviously the diagram or the trigger shows a 3-point turn.
Well, I mean, I guess you could have said reversing direction, right?
That could have been a better way to say it. Yes.
You didn't say that.
Could
You
have
said U-turn. So are you changing your testimony from Friday that it was a 3-point turn, or could it possibly have been a U-turn?
It's a 3-point turn.
Okay, because you have evidence of the starting, stopping, changing gears, reversing, stopping, changing gears, turning.
That's correct.
So when you said U-turn, that was inaccurate.
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained.
That would be asked and answered. Mark off forced to admit a
Let's get back
lie
to
on
the
your bingo
path of
card.
travel.
That's a rare
Again,
one
your-
we get.
Your
I'm going to
analysis.
give that one.
How
Forced
did
to
you
admit a
know
lie.
what the Lexus's path of travel was?
Would you equate hypothetically with
That
sort
day.
of?
I got the directions from Trooper Proctor.
And what did Trooper Proctor tell you in terms of the path of travel specifically? Starting point and an ending point, tell you the exact path Lexus traveled.
No, all I got was mostly just the addresses.
Okay, so if you've got 2 points on a map, and Trooper Proctor told you Lexus traveled from point A to point B, there are multiple ways to get from point A to point B. You'd agree with that, right?
Yes.
You picked one of those, right? The path of travel includes freeways, et cetera, right?
Yes.
But as you sit here, you don't know what her actual path of travel was, because it could have been something different, right?
It could have been something. That's why I gave a range on my diagram.
Do you have any scientific evidence to establish what her actual path of travel is, or did you just guess at the path of travel?
I got the addresses from Trooper Proctor. I put them into the thing, and then one of the possibilities of 36 miles. And that was after looking at all of them. At 36 miles is a possibility.
Right, understood. So that's what I'm trying to get to, Trooper Paul.
Okay.
That's one possibility. There's 36 miles,
Mhm.
one route of travel, right?
Correct.
There are other possibilities, right?
Yes.
So between and among the possibility that you picked and the other possibilities, you just sort of had to guess. And there's no science to it. You said, I'm going to pick that one. You put it in my report, right?
No, that's not how that works.
Okay, why don't you tell me how
It is,
that
apparently.
works?
Her odometer mileage on the car from the download and the time we had the vehicle shows 36 miles. So when I plugged those addresses into Google, it came up as 36 miles as a possibility.
And you knew that there was another route of travel to the same location, correct?
What do you mean?
There were alternative routes of travel to the same 2 points, from and to the same points, correct?
Yes. Yes.
You could have tried to extract the location data from Ms. Reed's cell phone to determine the exact route of travel, correct?
I don't know. I don't have access to do cell phone extractions.
So that answers my next question. You did not even attempt to do that, did you?
No.
You did attempt to analyze the key cycles for the Lexus in order to determine placement of that vehicle. You just talked about that with Mr. Lauer, right?
Yes.
I want to be clear for the jurors because most people have probably never heard of key cycles. A key cycle does not have any location data associated with it whatsoever, does it?
Correct.
It just shows you when a vehicle is turned on, the ignition is on and off. That's one cycle, correct?
No.
Tell me what I've got wrong.
Key cycle, the car doesn't have to be turned on.
Say that again.
It goes from off to run. The engine doesn't have to be started to off.
Understood. So if it turns on, well, every single ignition is a key cycle. Every time the engine turns on, that's absolutely a key cycle. Once it's turned off again, right?
That gets recorded as an ignition cycle.
Right. So a key cycle can be an ignition cycle, but it doesn't have to be an ignition cycle. It also can be just turning the sort of accessory on, right?
The key cycles turn the accessories on.
All right. But it doesn't, my question was, and where we started with this conversation is, it does not have any location data on it whatsoever.
Correct.
All right. So when you drive your car, you walk out, get in the car, turn the ignition on, start to drive, get your location, turn it off. That's one key cycle, right?
One ignition cycle.
But and I'm going to use the word key cycles because you use the word key cycles in your report. That's what we're talking about.
I'm using that because that's how the trigger was read.
That's how what?
The triggers were read on the text stream. That's how they read them, key cycles.
By key cycles.
Yes.
I'm going to use that phrase key cycle.
Okay.
We're talking about the same thing. It's an ignition on, ignition off cycle.
Doesn't have to be on.
So you mean the engine doesn't have to be turned on?
Correct.
Right. But if you're seeing triggering events,
I'm being triggered by this.
I'm trying to be tricky here. Seeing triggering events, the car's in motion.
I know what the dipshit's talking about, but he's not explaining it to Jackson, and Jackson's not asking the right question to get the information out of him.
That's
It's
what I'm
frustrating.
But it has no location data associated with whatsoever. It could be here, it could be in Wyoming. The car wouldn't know the difference. It's not going to report the difference to you, correct?
On the key cycle,
Right.
On just the key cycle. The key cycle does not give out locations.
Say that again?
The key cycle does not give a location.
Right. So your analysis is trying to go from a known key cycle that you can figure out and then work backward from there to try to figure out where the car was on a particular ignition cycle or key cycle, correct?
I didn't use the key cycle to put it back.
Say that again?
I did not use the key cycle to place the car back in its location. The key cycles were, all I got from the key cycles is that they occurred close within proximity to the time we've had the vehicle, not basically saying that this was the location based off the key cycle.
Well, let's look at Exhibit 591 with the court's permission.
Okay.
Brian Miller with a $2 super chat says he's going to cry today.
This is a copy of the exhibit that was put in 591. This is part of your report, correct?
Yes, it is.
And this is a chart that shows when this arrow, that arrow indicates top and bottom where your testing occurred, correct?
Yes.
And when you move over to the left, that is key cycle what?
1164.
Right. So you've testified, and we can turn the lights on. Your Honor, I don't mind if that stays up. We can turn the lights on. I don't think it hurts anything. You stated in your report that there were, quote, 2 triggers recorded on odometer 12629 and key cycle 1162, correct?
Yes.
These events were prior to the testing triggers on odometer readings 12665/12666 and at key cycle 1164. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're saying, what you're saying in that report is the triggering events were at 1162, going in reverse in order. 1162 comes before 1164. They're numerical, is that right?
Yes.
Every single key cycle just tags another number on top of it, right? There's no formula.
Correct.
After 1 comes 2, after 2 comes 3, 4, 5, 6, and then move on, right?
Yes.
So by the time you got the vehicle, there had been 1,164 key cycles on the history of that car, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you knew, you put in your report, or you know, that the triggering events that you see under 1164, those are yours,
Yes.
right? I mean, that's your testing.
Yes.
And you were very clear that the triggers that you recorded, that you talked to Mr. Lally about, were two cycles before that,
Yes.
meaning ignition cycles at least, right?
Yes.
All right.
For that.
You report, oh, let me finish the point. You said that the mileage difference between these two triggers and the triggers that occurred while testing was 36 miles. You just said that, right?
Yes.
And the key cycle difference was exactly 2 key cycles, right?
Yes.
1164, 1163, 1162. That's the triggering events, right?
That's correct.
You also reiterated in your report in paragraph 23, 24, 26, and 29, and also in this exhibit in your CARS report, that the triggers occurred at key cycle 1162, right?
Yes.
You were assisted in your CARS report. I think you mentioned Trooper Zach Clark. Is that right?
Yes.
Trooper Proctor assisted to a certain degree, correct?
Yes.
Trooper Larini, Carol Larini, is that right?
Yes.
Also Sergeant Sean Good of Canton PD assisted as well, correct?
Yes, in a sense.
Did they all read the report before it was finalized?
In a sense, he did or didn't.
No.
Did you have any supervisor read the report before it was finalized?
Yes.
And he agreed with the assessments in the report?
Yes.
So in summary, everybody that read the report and you who authored the report believed, and it's reflected in that report, that key cycle 1162 contained the 2 triggers that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's the 3-point turn, I guess now a 3-point turn, right? Changing direction, and then
Yes.
the reverse at 24 miles per hour, correct?
Correct.
And you even went on and testified to that exact thing under oath in front of the state grand jury, correct?
Yes. Wait, hold on. I need the text streams?
On the key cycles.
Not in grand jury.
Okay. Testified to it on direct examination on Friday and again this morning.
Yes, correct.
If your testing occurred at key cycle 1164, that means you turned the engine on, the ignition on to start your testing, correct?
Correct.
And that triggering event that we see up there at 1164 initiated your testing, all right?
Yes.
All right. So that 1164 is where that's where there's no more unknowns, in other words. Right? You know exactly where the car is, who's in the car, who turned the car on, and what the triggering events were and what they reflected. Because you did it, correct?
Correct.
You.
Yes.
So that would be the cornerstone, basically, of your entire analysis of key cycles.
Say again.
The cornerstone, in other words, the one known that is immovable, it's immutable, is 1164 began your testing. Is that right?
Objection.
Is that right? I'm going to allow the question.
Yeah, that's when the car was in state custody.
All right. So starting at 1164 and counting backward.
That was a long sigh.
Testing, you know that the SUV had to be started, the ignition had to be turned over, and it was driven to the Sally Port in Canton at 5:31 p.m. from a tow truck on January 29th, correct?
I didn't know that.
You did or did not?
Did not know that.
Okay. Assuming that the car had to be started and put on a tow truck,
Did he know anything?
that would be key cycle what?
Doesn't sound
I
like
don't know
it.
how. I can't speak to the fact that recorded a key cycle at that time.
I can't hear you.
I can't speak to the fact that we record a key cycle at that time.
Okay. If the car was turned on and driven onto a tow truck.
He's
would that
never
be a
turned
key
on
cycle?
anything in his life.
I don't know because these keys record different ways, so I can't speak to how or why it did not record on there. All I can speak to is that those are the key cycles. The odometer mileage is more what I was going after on this whole thing.
Trooper Paul, you just said unequivocally, when a car is turned on and then turned off, there's a key cycle.
I said when the car without the ignition on, that's a key cycle.
Right.
That's correct.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
when it's turned on, when the engine turns on.
That's the definition of what it is. I can't speak to why I didn't go on, why I did not record.
Well, let's talk about the ignition cycles
Okay.
before 1164. Okay?
Okay.
Obviously, the car had to get to Canton PD because you saw it there, correct?
Correct.
Assume for purposes of my question, the car was turned on, and there's a video of it turning on, driving up onto a flatbed tow truck.
Yes.
That would be ignition cycle, I'm gonna use your word, key cycle, ignition cycle, 1163, correct?
Again, ignition cycle, key cycles are two different things.
Which word do you want me to use?
If you want to talk about key cycles, key cycles. If you want to talk about ignition cycles, it's ignition cycles when the vehicle gets turned on.
Explain the
A key
difference
cycle
to
doesn't
him.
have, it does not mean to be turned on.
But every single.
He's
ignition
terrible at
cycle
explaining
includes
anything.
a key cycle.
Uh-huh.
You can't have an ignition cycle without a key cycle, correct?
Well, if you want to talk about it, just use the key cycles or ignition cycles. I'm trying to make sure this gets out. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure that this gets put out
When
the
you
correct
turn
way.
the key one and it turns on the electrics, that is a key cycle. You turn it again, it's both a
Every
key cycle
ignition
and an
cycle
ignition cycle, but it's not the same thing.
A key cycle, correct?
In a sense,
By definition, it has to.
it doesn't have to. They record multiple different ways.
You can have an ignition cycle without a key cycle.
I don't know how it recorded, but it could happen.
Explain that. How could that possibly happen?
Because a key cycle is when it turns on, not engine running, and then turns off.
Okay, so work with me here.
Ignition cycle is when it turns on, engine running for 2 seconds, and then comes off.
Okay, so
Or the 2 seconds was not on long enough.
This just smells
It
of
might not record one.
desperation and gin.
let's ignore the 2 seconds.
Okay.
That's not what we're doing.
Okay.
All right. Let's assume that it's an old-fashioned type of key.
It's an old-fashioned love song.
Halfway on, the electricity is on. It's like it used to be called ACC. Accessories, right?
Yep.
That's a key cycle, correct?
For that intents and purposes, yes. This vehicle's not a key cycle. So they're not a thing.
Keep turning,
Okay.
and that turns the engine on, right?
It turns the engine on, correct.
An ignition cycle, right?
Yes. Well, then turns
Hang
off.
on, I'll be right back.
Ignition cycle necessarily includes the precursor key cycle, correct? Even though every key cycle might not include an ignition cycle. Would you agree with that?
In that scenario, yes.
Fine. Okay, with that definition, I want to talk about ignition cycles because I don't want to get confused about accessories. Just assume the engine.
Okay.
turns on, right?
Okay.
If you started your testing at 1164, then if the engine was turned on, thereby indicating initiating a key cycle, driving the car onto a flatbed truck, and then hauling it over to Canton PD, that would be key cycle 1163 in that hypothetical, correct?
It could be.
Okay. Then going backward from there, if the SUV was, I'm sorry, let me add one event that I just forgot. It had to get off the tow truck in Canton and to be driven into the Sally Port. Did you ever see that video?
No.
Being driven in?
No.
If there was a video showing that the car was actually driven into the Sally Port, that would necessarily be a key cycle, correct?
Possibly.
Okay, so that would be key cycle 1163. My mistake, I was missing one, right?
Okay.
Before that, if the car was turned on and driven onto the flatbed to get to Canton, that would be key cycle 1162 in order, correct? We're going back,
It's possible.
all right? Before that, if the car was started and the car was driven from One Meadows Avenue to Karen Reed's parents' home in Dighton, that would be another key cycle, 1161, correct?
They're possible.
Before that, if the SUV was started and driven by Miss Reed from the garage at John O'Keefe's house to Jennifer McCabe's house at 5:07 in the morning, that would be another key cycle, correct? 1160. Is that right?
It's possible.
And before that, if the SUV was started and driven by Miss Reed to the waterfall, from the waterfall to 34 Fairview at approximately 12:15 a.m., that would be another key cycle, 1159, right?
It's possible.
I want to be clear. The reason that these numbers skip in your diagram.
Are we still talking about key cycles?
Yes.
Oh, God
Every
damn
single
it.
number is in order on this left-hand column, because this is only a diagram of when triggering events occur, right?
Yes.
On the upside, I think I know where Jackson's
Unusual
going with this.
About the operation of the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And it's clear that from the data, there was no triggering event at key cycle 1159, was there?
No.
So assuming the driving events that I just told you, right? Assuming for purposes of my question, that the driving events started at 11:59, driving over to 34 Fairview from the waterfall. Then driving at 5:07 in the morning over to Jenny McCabe's house, 1160. Then driving to Dighton, her parents' house, 1161. Then the car being seized in Dighton by Trooper Proctor, 1162. Then the car being taken off the flatbed and driven into the Sally Port, Canton, 1163. Your testing starts at 1164. That would mean that at 1162, that key cycle would include the time in which Trooper Proctor had possession of that car.
Ooh.
Correct?
Yeah, which is
No.
when the 3-point turn allegedly took place.
Assuming my hypothetical.
You're
Which would make
hypothetical.
sense
Yes.
if he's doing a 3-point turn
If
to take
that's
the car off
hypothetically
the
how it works, then
truck.
yes.
Then what?
and then go
If that's
into the
hypothetically
Sally
how it
Port.
works, then yes.
His Darth Vader breathing is increasing in
On
pace.
June 9th, 2022, you were asked by a grand jury whether you knew or had done any scientific testing to determine the distance a body would actually travel struck by a vehicle. Remember that?
Not that specifically. Not in that way.
Do you remember answering that you had not, I'm just paraphrasing, that you had not done you hadn't finished your report yet?
Why don't you show him? He said he didn't remember it that way.
Why don't you show dipshit? All right, we got to catch up on some super chats. I'm more than an hour behind because they haven't had any sidebars or anything. Take a break, geez. Jeremiah Jordan, member for 13 months. Is the state going to charge Karen with second-degree murder for this witness on the stand? Jackson could go down for it. He's just slaughtering
Yes.
this guy.
Yeah, but to be fair, it'd have to be Yannetti that'd get on trial for it because you can't have the actual murder on trial.
Middle of the page, your answer starts at about line 12, but the question above it is probably informative.
And Jill M's with the $2. Train wreck happening now.
Mhm.
And with $2 more, can you please not ask me these questions?
You have that in mind?
Yep.
Yes.
Lancelot 652 at the $5. This court is going to have to change that seat out after this witness leaves a puddle on it.
You were asked, does that remind you that you were asked by a grand jury if you could calculate
Ew.
how far a body would move having been struck by a vehicle?
Yes.
And you indicated, quote, yeah, there's certain calculations we can do with that. Would figure out if the car backed up, hit somebody, and then they go a certain amount of distance, and it's based on miles per hour, the speed of the vehicle, striking vehicle, and stuff.
That doesn't
Remember saying that?
Yes.
What did you mean by stuff?
I don't know.
You said that the calculations would be based on miles per hour and stuff. Did you ever do a stuff to test that? Grand jury's question.
No, we cannot calculate anything from this collision.
Say that one more time.
We cannot calculate anything from this collision.
Who's we?
I'm sorry, me, the royal me.
The royal we.
No,
Oh, for
John-
fuck's sakes.
John O'Keefe's weight, right?
What's that?
You know John O'Keefe's weight, 217 pounds, right?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I don't know his weight, no.
So how did you calculate trajectory if you didn't know the weight of the object that supposedly flew?
Yes.
It's the weight of
Clearly
the
he
gross weight.
What's the gross weight?
Oh.
I think it's approximately 7,300 pounds.
Were you able to calculate the mass of the vehicle?
I did not calculate the mass of the vehicle.
Well, you told the grand jury that you were planning on doing that kind of stuff
Yeah.
to calculate how far a person would travel being struck at that speed with a car of that weight. You didn't do those calculations?
No, because the calculations would vastly underestimate the speed of the vehicle.
What?
You testified, again, my report
Why
isn't
not
done yet. I'm
use
going
the
to look into
calculations
it.
with
I'm looking
The
into all
actual
that
speed of the vehicle.
end quote, correct?
We'll
Yes.
work backwards to calculate the
Word
speed of the
again.
vehicle.
It's been more than 2 years since that statement at the grand jury. Is your report finished?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Did you engage in any of those calculations?
I looked into it. This type of collision I would not be able to use the formulas for this type of collision.
Well, let's talk about those formulas. How would you calculate how far a body at rest would travel after being struck by an object in motion? How would you calculate that?
In pedestrian collisions, I use a Searle throw formula.
A what formula?
Searle.
What does that mean?
It's a type of formula that we use for a calculation of post-impact
So
or speeds for pedestrians.
that includes certain principles of physics to calculate that, right?
What do you mean?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by certain forms of physics?
oh Jesus.
There would be physics calculations that would be required to figure out how far.
Yep,
a body
really
at
quick
rest would
bites, and
move,
he had
having
access
been
to all of them.
struck by an object in motion.
Right.
That's a basic principle of
Yeah, I guess you could say though.
All right. Can you describe for the jurors exactly what calculations you would need to employ to determine how far a body at rest would travel, having been struck by an object in motion?
So in this scenario, in this collision, it's more of a side swipe. So he did not ascertain.
He
He did
flew
not
30
get
feet off of a
enough
side swipe?
speed of the vehicle post impact with the vehicle to be able calculations. His center of mass was offset from the vehicle. So we would vastly underestimate his speed. So that's why I did not do a formula. If he was more in line with behind the vehicle,
Didn't do a
he
formula.
would have been projected forward, and using that projection forward, he would have been able to get
Yeah,
more closely
swamp
to the
bear
actual
X,
speed of
but
the
not for a
vehicle during that
side
post-impact
swipe.
travels.
Well, that presumes a couple of things, Paul. That presumes that he was quote unquote sideswiped, right?
Presumed,
Presumed by you. You didn't see how he was hit, did you?
based on the evidence, it appeared to be a side swipe.
That's your opinion.
That's disagreeing the evidence.
You're saying that the principles of physics as we know them today in modern mathematics is thwarted by a sideswipe?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying?
The calculations that are out there, you can get a speed. of
Answer the question. Are you
underestimate
saying the
the
laws
speed.
of physics are thwarted
You
by
would
a
have to
side
know
swipe?
what the initial momentum of the object
Laws of
is.
physics do not
It's
apply.
in motion,
John
correct?
O'Keefe's death.
Of what object?
The truck, Paul.
I would have to know that speed.
Yeah, you'd have to know what the initial momentum is, not speed, momentum. There's a difference.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Would you agree with that?
No.
You wouldn't have to calculate what the initial momentum is of the object in motion to determine the distance of the body at rest would move?
Well, in that sense, that's
Paging
what we're talking about,
Sir Isaac
trying to
Newton.
find the speed of
Paging
the
Sir Isaac
vehicle.
Newton.
That's usually what we're
Sir
trying
Isaac
to
Newton,
do.
Please report to the
Okay, well,
courtroom,
let's
Sir
put the
Isaac
speed of the
Newton.
vehicle aside. Let's talk about initial momentum. What's the formula for calculating?
All I can
initial
see in
momentum?
my head is the skit
There's
from The
different types of
Simpsons with
momentum
Skinner and
formulas.
Chalmers
Actually, one
and the
type of
steamed
momentum
hams.
formula. It's
An Aurora
calculate
Borealis
momentum.
Objection.
localized entirely in your kitchen.
Sustained.
To calculate momentum, there is a single.
So sustained. Ask it differently.
Isn't it true, Trooper Paul, that there is a singular calculation for determining initial momentum? That is P equals M times V, where P is the momentum. You're solving for that. M is mass. You multiply that by velocity. Is that right? Pretty simple.
You wouldn't use that in a pedestrian collision.
Oh, because the pedestrian's somehow magically out of the realm of physics?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is the pedestrian out of the realm of physics and calculations?
No, it's the weight differential between the pedestrian and the vehicle.
So you can adjust for it. You
So-
can compensate.
If the vehicle is too heavy and the body is too light, you can't calculate the initial momentum of the vehicle?
Yes,
Got it. Where'd you learn that?
it's in my math class. We only use momentum for a vehicle to be
Math class?
the math, the crash
Yeah,
reconstruction
great
classes
success.
I have
That's
taken.
the point he's
Got it.
making.
Would you need to apply the theory of conservation of momentum in calculating these data?
Do I need to calculate the conservation of momentum?
For calculation, conservation of momentum?
Yes,
You even know what that is? There's an equation for that as well, right?
yes.
You know what that is?
Not off the top of my head, but yes.
E equals MC squared.
Based on the basic principles of physics, is the
You
total
need to get
momentum
Joe in here so I can
of
refute
the
this guy on
collision
gravity.
greater or less than the total momentum after the collision? Total momentum before the collision, is it greater or less than the total momentum after the collision? Basic question.
What type of collision?
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Trooper Paul, they're exactly equal in all respects under the principles of physics, right? That's the theory of the conservation of momentum. Momentum doesn't change. It's
Yes.
transferred from one body to another,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Why didn't you say that to the jurors?
Objection.
Sustained.
Trooper Paul, if you were qualified to quote, look into all this stuff, you would probably know these answers, wouldn't you?
Objection.
Sustained.
Nice
Are there any other
question.
calculations that you need to figure out the stuff that you were talking to about with the grand jury?
Objection.
Sustained.
How about calculating the final velocity of the objects after the collision? That be important?
What objects?
That would be John
The
O'Keefe's
dead
body,
guy.
sir.
The
Object
items.
that you claim was flying through the air 30 feet.
Okay,
Objection.
sustained.
How about calculating the displacement using kinematic equations? Would you be able to do that?
The displacement of the body?
Yes,
In order to
I know
calculate
that.
how far the body would move based on the mass of the object striking the body. Could you use displacement using kinematic equations?
So like I said before, the side swipe, he would not have gotten 100% of the vehicle, 100% of the speed of the striking vehicle. It would have vastly
Say
underestimated the
side swipe
vehicle.
one more
You
time.
couldn't hit a person and side swipe them, spin them off to the side, and have
How
that and
fucking
get that
fast
speed
must
from
this
that
car have been
calculation.
doing?
So you're
Speed of
saying
light to
that-
launch a guy off a sideswipe 30, 50 feet
The discipline
across
of
the
physics.
fucking road?
Cannot figure out how far
Yes.
John O'Keefe's body would move. But you personally figured out that he would have flown now somewhat, or been projected somewhat 30 feet.
Objection.
Is that right?
Sustained.
Are you saying that the principles of physics are incapable of determining with the proper calculations how far John O'Keefe's body would have moved given the collision at issue?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying, Trooper?
No,
Okay, next question.
You just said because it was a sideswipe, all these calculations, these physics calculations are inapplicable, right?
but I'm saying it would underestimate the speed and the distance.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you have no idea what all these physics calculations mean, do you?
Objection.
Sustained.
You have not been trained in physics formally, have you?
No.
Yes,
No.
You have been,
it's incorporated into the classes.
right? You had a few classes that use the word physics, but you haven't been formally trained in physics, have
Objection.
Sustained.
you? You haven't been formally trained in kinematics, correct?
It's in the aspects of all our crash reconstruction classes.
You haven't been formally trained in whole.
And were you asleep during those classes?
Biomechanics, do you?
I do not have a degree in biomechanics.
In fact, basically what you did in this case was calculated ignition cycles. And you got
That's
those
a good
wrong.
fucking point.
Right?
If she sideswiped him, how was
Sustained.
padlock
Come on,
broken?
Mr. Jackson. Ask the appropriate part of the question, you'll get it.
Let me ask you this. Based on your reconstruction, nearly 2-year investigation, exactly how was that taillight shattered? Explain it to us.
How does the taillight? What do you? It gets so the taillight in this case was shattered when it was struck John O'Keefe's arm.
Exactly what part of his arm?
Fuck off.
Based on what I saw for his injuries, was from the upper part of his arm down.
Was his arm out? It just struck the arm like a hinge? Was it in front of him? You did the reconstruction?
It looked,
Here's exactly
John was
how he
drunk and
found
tried to
his
coat
position
hang of the car as it
when he
came
was struck
past.
by that.
so it looks like his arm was more kind of like this. If I can try to get that.
You're indicating out by his side, correct?
Yes.
All right. And
So
the
a
taillight struck his arm.
7,300-pound vehicle
Yes.
hit his
Not his torso.
extended arm and
Yes.
didn't shatter it into a
So-
fucking million pieces.
Not a single
The
bruise,
full mass,
just some
full weight
scratches.
of that truck
That look mysteriously
hit
like
him
dog bite.
basically at the elbow. Is that right?
No,
Missing his
no.
torso.
I said it's from the upper part of the arm
Right,
down.
that-
Yeah.
that Elbow and the biceps.
I didn't see anything that shows.
I
indication
happen to
that
know
this
what
lower
happens
torso
when
was struck,
vehicles
but
hit arms.
it's not saying it could not have been a possibility.
That's
but
what
I just
happens
didn't
when
see
a
anything.
vehicle hits
So
an
his
arm.
torso was spared.
And how many
from
feet
being
did you
hit,
fly when
but
that
the arm
happened?
took the brunt, full force of the vehicle.
I wasn't
Like arm and
conscious,
shoulder,
but
yes.
it was a while.
And you said he then did a
It wasn't 30
spin,
feet. It was into the next lane
like
of
a
traffic.
sort of a pirouette.
He got spun around possibly the way he struck. It looked like it could have turned around counterclockwise.
Okay. So if he turns around counterclockwise, is he turning around in the air counterclockwise?
Yes, initially.
So he gets hit.
Yes,
up the biceps,
Island,
shoulder
now
area,
you're getting it.
and down to the forearm, right?
Yes,
By an unbroken taillight, right?
yes,
In other words, it's nice and smooth. Nothing, no shards of plastic or anything broken at the time that it made contact with his arm, right?
correct.
Okay, so how did his arm get all cut up?
Because when his arm struck the taillight then cracked, and as the car is driving past him, the taillight could scratch it.
Got it. So he gets hit by the car, not his torso, just the arm. The taillight cracks, and as it passes by, his arm stays with it long enough to get striations, those scratches that you see, those lacerations, I'm sorry, those abrasions that you see, right?
In a sense, yes.
In a
Same
sense,
time,
yes.
He does a pirouette and flies 30 feet to his final point of rest.
I don't know if he did a pirouette.
Well,
You said he
I didn't
did.
do a pirouette. He spun around.
You said he just
He
spun
started
counterclockwise.
rotating counterclockwise. I don't know how far he ran counterclockwise, but he started rotating. According to that, would push him to rotate counterclockwise. Whether or not he went counterclockwise all the way to his back toward the ground, it seems like a most likely possibility.
Did you account for the fact that his arm is on a hinge?
Is what? Say again?
Did you account for the fact in this scenario that you just told the jurors that his arm is on a hinge?
On a
On his
hinge.
shoulder?
Okay.
Like this.
So
Yeah.
arm got
Not to
hit.
mention, if his arm was out, you've got the elbow as well.
I said arm and shoulder area, so his arm could have been considered part of it.
Even if his shoulder got the upper,
Okay.
you're pointing to his upper biceps.
Mhm.
Right?
Show
There's
me
no
the
way
big
to
ass
do a
bruise on his
Not a
shoulder if his
single
shoulder got
one.
hit.
Not a bruise, right?
Like I said, it looked like to me it was from up here. I don't know how far I can up back here, but it was up here.
Well,
So
you're the one that talked about his injuries on his arm.
yes.
That's limited to about mid biceps, to about mid forearm, correct?
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
No injuries on the shoulder,
Oh my god.
no injuries on the torso, no injuries on the ribs, No injuries on the back, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
So your theory is you got hit on the arm, took the brunt of the force from the taillight on the arm, stayed with the vehicle long enough for the taillight to explode, basically to shatter.
If
And
you're
the
Lally, what is
striations
going
hit
through
on
your
his
head
arm.
right now?
Abrasions. Does a pirouette, spin, counterclockwise, and flies 30 feet in the air to his point of rest.
Yeah, it happened probably a little faster than that, though.
Actually said he hit his head on the curb.
I said that's one of the possibilities of when you look at the roadway, as he gets spun around kind of clockwise, it's a possibility that the curb is
So now he's
there.
cartwheeling as
Any
he's being
blunt
hit by the
force
car, and
object
his
on the
head
ground
smacks,
as
and he just
the ground is
tumbles.
pretty blunt.
Well, except in your scenario that you just told us, he flew through the air onto the light dusting of snow, grass, and dirt.
I didn't say through the air.
Say that again?
I didn't say he got thrown through the air.
Okay, I'll use your word. He got projected. Like
Projected doesn't mean it's not incorporating just throw. Project just means you get pushed forward. There's two parts of that. There's the air, then there's
So
the ground.
along the ground.
Like I said earlier, the tumbling, the rolling, whatever that part of the crash would happen. Projecting is just what we call what happens to a pedestrian post impact with a crash.
Can we take this guy out the front of the
So-
courthouse and see whether or not we can reenact it?
if his arm, elbow took the brunt of that entire impact, how do you account for the fact that he didn't suffer a broken bone?
I don't know.
I don't
Account for
know.
the fact that he didn't have
It was
a
at this
fracture?
moment that he knew he fucked up.
Objection.
Sustained.
How do you account for the fact that he didn't even have a bruise on the arm?
Objection.
That's sustained.
They reproach.
Yes.
All right. Let's not now, Stingy. We have company with $2. Bro, both check your DMs. You'll enjoy. Yes, we saw that. Unfortunately, it's impossible to show that on the screen. It was funny. And mark off lawyer calls for sidebar on your bingo card. Xenothium 15 with the $2. Jeff, please. I'm losing brain cells here. Hey, I ain't doing this to you. I'm just bringing it.
My head hurts.
Yeah. So did John O'Keefe's. I'm here for the truth. Said, was the crime scene drinking from a cup or a bottle? I don't know.
That's why the solid
Yeah.
cups.
Yeah, let's see what it says. Jonathan Irwin with the $2. 2 idiot cops, 1 cup. Yeah, that's a movie I wouldn't watch. Jill M's, thank you so much. Conspiracy theory. It's all conspiracy theory, isn't it? Unhung Hero with $2 as well. Where did the crime scene touch you, Trooper? Well, the Trooper can't even say where it touched John O'Keefe. Jesus. Stogies and boomsticks. These are witnesses you get when you fabricate a narrative instead of doing an investigation.
It's true.
Yeah. Unhung Hero with $2. Officer, when was your lobotomy and was it painful? And Psycho Doll, member for size for 9 months. 9 months of mooching gifted memberships. Can't stop laughing at Ozzy's hair. Yoda is cutest doggo.
May I inquire you?
Yes.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you know, having investigated auto pedestrian accidents in the past, that John O'Keefe's injuries do not look anything like an automobile pedestrian accident, do they?
Yes, they do.
Isn't it true, Trooper Paul? You came to these opinions and conclusions because Trooper Proctor told you to come to these opinions and conclusions in furtherance of his investigation.
No, it's not true.
That's why you have these opinions and conclusions that just don't make sense, correct?
That is not true.
And you're just trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Action.
Sustained. All right, jurors will take the morning recess.
All rise for the court, please.
And I'll see counsel at sidebar about scheduling.
Judge calls for sidebar. Mark that off on your card. Mark Judge calls for sidebar right at the last minute here before the break. Where's my judge calls for sidebar? There we are. All right, before we do anything else, let's catch up on the super chats. First of all, let's move this on down here, and we'll just leave that there for now. All right, I'm so far behind on these. Sorry, everybody. They just wouldn't come up for air. Mathis Gree says, were you given a summary? Yes. Who gave you the summary? Of what? This is like Michael Scott going to the bathroom to get out of a question. And Island with $5. Dang it, Jeff. I read voir dire as voir dire in my head. Good. That's how you pronounce it. That's how you pronounce it. This is all your fault. What have you done? I've corrected your mistaken pronunciation. It is voir dire. That's just how you pronounce it. Trust me. And Project Calm with the $2, former Bollywood stunt scene consultant. You're not wrong. And Lancelot 652. I don't know that GEDs counted as associate degrees now. Yeah, were you here for that?
No, I missed that.
Yeah. Jackson went through a list of possible degrees he might hold, and it just came out that his highest level of education is a 2 years associate degree.
Huh.
He doesn't even have a bachelor's. Hey, Ceiling Dion makes an appearance.
Hey there, Karen.
And so does this guy.
Free trial watchers.
Hush.
This is another.
Ceiling Dion, mark off Ceiling Dion. We'll catch up on the bingo card here once we get done with these. Where's Ceiling? Here's Ceiling. All right. Unhung hero. Can we calculate the momentum of the state's case as it goes over the cliff? Yeah. Yes, you can, but just this guy can't. And Sonny or Chris with the $5. What the actual F is the state police teaching these fools? Clearly, they're not teaching him anything. He took 3 classes or something. Oh. Project Calm, again, with another $2 super chat. Who, if anyone, is capable of witness prep? Nobody. Make it stop. And Toxic Bacon, new member. Thank you so much for being a new member. You are the newest member of the Bent Halos and Broken Wings tier. Wow. Thank you so much. That's mighty generous of you. Thank you very, very much for that. Well, that also kicks us over the edge into the second tier of unlocked goodness, which is Hayden's favorite whiskey, the Key One Korean whiskey.
Oh, I'll just sit back and enjoy watching you drink that.
Yes, we do a shot of Korea's first all locally produced whiskey made from Korean planted, raised, and harvested barley, distilled, aged, and bottled in Korea. Oops, that's kind of about a shot and a half. It's not that good. It's really not. Thank you so much for getting us to this point in the day, which we call unlocking tier 2. Let's see, we'll show you. We'll put the camera here on the strawberry. All right. Cheers, everybody. Thank you so much for the support you've shown today. This is a lot.
How long till I come out with their second vintage anyway?
Oh, they're up to batch 5 now.
Oh, okay. Is it getting any better, or are you not?
I couldn't tell you. Yep. I couldn't tell you. I'll check back in on them in a couple of years. Oof. Oh, that's not good. Thank you. Thank you, Toxic Bacon. Aussie Tank said, Legal Vices, how is he an expert if he only is taking classes? Well, he said that he's attended, I think, like 196 accident scenes.
How many of them were his?
I don't know. I don't know if it really matters, but can we cross off severe cross? No, again, it's not severe cross-examination on the bingo card. It's severe cross-examnesia. That's just because earlier on in the trial, everybody was saying, I don't know, I don't remember, I can't recall. But they remembered everything on on direct examination, but they suffered from cross-examnesia on cross-examination. Renee Miette says it's all conjecture. Yep.
Literally everything the guy said would be on the balance of probabilities to determine something, which means that there is more than enough for reasonable doubt that any of the circumstances he said happened. And I'm sorry, but a cop getting sideswiped by a car, going the speed of light, doing somersaults so that he hits his head on the concrete and then flies a further 30 feet. I'm sorry, I'm just incredulous about it.
Well, I can't remember what the exact word that I'm looking for is. I can't remember what the exact thing they were talking about at that point in time, but several days ago they testified that at one point the car would have had to have been going 133,000 miles per hour.
Sounds about right.
I can't remember what that was in relation to, but it was kind of funny back then.
And the annoying thing is that Jackson was making a very good point in terms of the key cycles and when the 3-point turn actually took place, because they're trying to say that the 3-point turn was part of the reason as to why she ran him over going backwards. But the simple fact of the matter is that if that particular key cycle is when Proctor was in control of the car, then it's irrelevant.
Yep.
So it's really annoying that this dipshit on the stand obfuscated that, and now Jackson's going to have to hammer that home basically on during closing arguments in order to make sense of it. Because there's no way in hell that the jury were paying attention to that.
Well, I think they were paying attention when he did the summary with the pirouette and the arm thing and hitting it and knocking him across that was very, very good. It was facetious as hell, but it was great. It was a very great demonstration of what was supposed to what this guy's been testifying to for the last 2.5 hours. And what can Jackson do on redirect? I can't think of a single thing he can say to make this
There's
any better.
no way you rehabilitate that shit. You say no. Maybe you take one or two very simple, straightforward questions, and you say you're done. You don't dig back into that. You don't give Jackson an opportunity to do recross over something that is like no. I mean, I know Lally's probably stupid enough to try it, but no, just
yeah. I can't even imagine how you would start to rehabilitate this mess, other than just to get him repeat. The evidence, the scene spoke to me and told me he got hit.
Oh my god, the scene told me. The crime scene told me. See, at the very least, I thought he was going to say that the what do you call it? That the crime scene text told him, or something along those lines. Not the actual freaking crime scene. Oh, it spoke to me. It told me all I needed to know. The report speaks for itself. But oh my god! And today, because I'm doing a few days behind, we did the first half of day 20 today, and friggin' what's his name? Not Proctor, the other one. The other trooper. Bukaki, thank you.
Yes, Buchanan.
Buchanan, or however the hell you want to pronounce it. What an arrogant fuckwit. Did you talk to the medical examiner's office and say that did you tell the hospital that it appeared that he'd been in a physical fight? No, I didn't say that. I said it to, okay, did you say those words? Yes, I said that to the medical examiner's office, but I didn't say it to the hospital, so I never said it.
Mm-hmm.
That was easily some of the slimiest testimony I've ever seen. And tomorrow, we get to start on Proctor.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Lol, he's a crime scene medium. Did they do a seance? Did they speak to the dead? Oh, did they speak to John O'Keefe? Now, what was this
John Edwards when you meet him?
What was this show that used to be on TV? Was it Criminal Minds, or there was? I have vague recollections of like seeing some show where it was basically a crime scene whisperer Where he'd like walk into the crime scene, and then he would like she was was it the Sherlock Holmes still the Elementary, where you like see the
Elementary.
crime scene being like all played out and diagrammed out and all the mathematics attached to it and everything. There's some show like that. Can't remember what it was.
I mean, like the remake of Sherlock was good, with the one with Benedict Cumberbatch. I loved watching him dissect crime scenes like that and calculate everything out.
Was that what it was? Was it the Benedict Cumberbatch one? Where he'd like look at the crime scene and it would like show all the measurements and the diagrams of how things all fit together.
I think you might have been thinking about numbers.
Numbers. Okay, that's what it was. Numbers. Yeah, it was numbers.
Yeah.
I only saw a couple of episodes of that, but that was the vibes I was getting. Like he just walks into the crime scene and goes, "Talk to me," and then everything just kind of forms together in his head. That was just the worst.
Oh my god,
that was so stupid. Let's check our bingo card. If you have not generated your bingo card and you're feeling sad about that, you can't play along with Courtroom Murder Trial Bingo. Make sure you just go right up to the top of the chat. There's a pinned chat up there that says generate your bingo card. Click on the link, generate your bingo card. We'll give you a couple of minutes to do that while we check the like and subscribe poll, and then we'll go back and check the bingo card. The like and subscribe poll, which means you hit the like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you double check to make sure you're still subscribed, and then you vote. We have 693 votes and 458 likes. So there's literally 250 cheating mother effers out there. Should the judge grant a directed verdict at the end of the prosecution's case? Not will she?
Should,
there's no
way.
Won't. Yeah, there's no way in hell she will, but should she? We've have a huge number of votes, but we really haven't changed since the beginning. 73% say most definitely. 14% say no, the prosecution did the basics to squeak by. And 14% say, I don't know, it's a close call. So still, it was 70% right after we started, and it's only 72% now. So statistically, there's been no change. So that's cool. All right, so you've had a chance to generate your bingo card. We've had a few bingos already. I'm not there yet. I need a few things. I'm like one away from several different bingos. Here's what you should have marked off on your bingo card. Judge calls for sidebar. Forced to admit a lie. Nervous prosecutor laugh. Darth Vader mic breathing. Lawyer calls for sidebar. Marks on O'Keefe. Body on front lawn. Dog cam. What if anything? Ceiling Dion and broken tail light. Oh God, that whiskey's just kind of hitting me wrong. Cough, cough. Jill Ams with the $5 Aussie bucks. Hayden will curl his toes as Jeff drinks this shit. Hayden has had this shit, so Hayden knows what it tastes like.
Yeah, that's why Hayden was happy to watch you drink it and me have PTSD flashbacks for
it. And Buddha Berry says, Legal Vices, for the love of God, can someone please address that Ozzy's hair is temporary and he hasn't taken up a new profession in gender studies?
Don't know what you're talking about.
And Blue Varro was a Blue Varro with a $5 super chat. I hope somebody on the jury took a college physics course. Well, I never took a college physics course, and I know he's full of shit.
Yeah.
Because he sounds like what I would sound like if I was trying to describe the physics of what happened.
Well, I mean, Jackson basically gave a high school physics lesson for the entire jury, pointing out that he's full of shit. So I don't think it even necessarily needs to be college course. Right.
No, we haven't had a who if anyone yet. Because he's only been talking about himself. You heard the words bad weather? I didn't hear the words bad weather. So, yeah. Oh, my Oh, Lancelot 652 with another $5 super chat. The more this guy talks, the more this accident sounds like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where the laws of physics don't apply.
That's one of those mystery spots.
So I did decide for those of you that are longtime followers, you'll know that at the $300 super chat membership, at the $300 mark for the show, we do a double shot of absinthe, which is actually really, really good. It's just that's the palate cleanser to cleanse the taste of the ghee one out of my mouth. But I've decided that not that we ever really have to worry about it. At the $400 level, I'm just going to let whoever sent us over the line recommend a really good cocktail, and I will make myself a really good cocktail based on the recommendation of the person that sent us over the $400 line.
That's really dangerous. You're probably going to have to limit it to certain cocktails because you're not going to have everything in there. Wait, it's you. Never mind.
Well, yeah. Well, if I've got stuff for a lot of different cocktails, but I also I've shared with Hayden that when I was in the States for a vacation, I picked up a stupid cigar, just like the dumbest of all cigars.
I showed Mel, and she said, "Do we need to check whether or not Jeff has any experience with gay porn?"
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one. And so we're just setting up. It's called a ludicrous. So that's actually the name of the cigar. It's a ludicrous cigar.
You won't believe this thing, people. It's literally like
it'll make its appearance this Friday on F It Friday. I'll break it out and show people. But we've set just a ludicrous goal. If I ever and it's never happened in 2 years, and I don't expect it will ever happen, but just in case somehow, most likely on an F It Friday, if we ever somehow come anywhere near the $5,000 in one day income, I will smoke this ridiculous cigar on a special cigar stream.
It's like my wrist.
Sonny or Chris, no, it's a 100 ring gauge, not an 80 ring gauge.
Yeah.
It's a 100 ring gauge cigar, and it's 10 inches long. It's a big one. So there. Anyway, that's it. It's a big boy. Yeah, Jeff is going to puke. Smoking that cigar would probably end up with either me throwing up or dying of nicotine poisoning. One of the two. Oh shoot! But yeah, that's just some fun things we got coming. Oh, and by the way, I mentioned F It Friday. If you're new around these parts, once a month we do what we call F It Friday, where we just say F it. It's just a pure griftathon, where that's all I do. We actively grift for money, so we don't really have to beg for the rest of the month. We have a great panel of guests on, and we just talk. We talk about whatever, no set topics. We just whatever comes on mind. I'll be sending out invitations. People will be asking me if they can come on. We'll do it on Friday evening U.S. time, probably starting around 8 p.m. Eastern. And we just go until the money stops coming in, my liver gives out, or just everybody goes away. So that's what we do. That'll be this Friday. Don't miss it. The F It Fridays are some of the best streams that we do around here. And also, while I was on vacation, just for giggles, I picked up a breathalyzer. So if any super chats on F It Friday come in at the $50 or higher mark, that will trigger a breathalyzer test to check my current blood alcohol level. So there we go. Unhung Hero says Barnes has put bigger brown things near his mouth. I don't think so.
Yeah,
it's big. Oh dear. Who makes that one? I can't remember who makes it. It's a J something.
Oh shit! I think I still got it open.
Ludicrous cigar. No, not Ludicrous, the rapper. Dumbass. Ludicrous cigar, 10 by 100. JFR makes them. JFR. It's the JFR Lunatic Maduro. So it's oh great. I didn't notice it was a Maduro. So that means it's actually a very, very full-bodied cigar. So yeah, I'm kind of likely to die.
That's fine. You light that up. I'll just be sitting here smoking the Monte Cristo, and we'll see which one of us carks it first.
Jill M's with the $5. What Jeff lacks in size, he has a cigar to save him. PMSL. If anybody looks anywhere near this cigar, God help their mate. Yeah. Yes, it's a Lunatic Maduro made by JFR, apparently. Yes. Yes, I'm very full-bodied. Oh, can we get back to the trial now, people? But while we're here, we have Aussie Overlord joining us.
Yeah, not sure quite for how much longer. It's just about to go 1:30 in the morning, so
yeah, we got about 90 minutes left here before she shuts it down for lunch. So I'll be here for 90 more minutes.
Oh, hang on. Didn't she just say they were just taking the morning break, though? Isn't that just like...
Yeah. Then they'll go 90 minutes, and then at 1 p.m. their time, that they take their lunch break.
Okay.
That's 90 minutes for me before we call it a day. Jeff sent you a juror reaction update. Okay, says Voodoo Berries. What is Voodoo Berries' juror reaction update? I don't see a juror reaction update from you. It just came through 5 minutes ago. When Jackson said, "The truth is, Trooper Paul, you don't know what any of these physics calculations means, do you?" Juror number 4 laughed so hard she covered her mouth with her hand and lowered her head. Okay.
Who's at the back?
They are. And that was from Fall River Reporter.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Oh, dear.
Oh, God.
Now, with regard to your testimony, as far as that triggering event.
3 throat clears before he gets one sentence out.
629B. You testified that was consistent with the pedestrian collision. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Again, if you could tell the jury, why is that consistent with the pedestrian?
The one specifically with the speeds and everything that we're referring to.
22 miles per hour in reverse for about 60 feet.
Okay, yeah. So why I think that's consistent with a pedestrian strike is because of the sudden change in the speed. It drops down by 0.5 mile per hour. The accelerator pedal is staying constant at the same percentage, and the steering wheel angle also turns to the right.
Now, your overall
Like if you're reversing off the back of a truck and you turn the wheel and you brake
based on
slightly?
what you did as far as your construction, correct?
Yes.
Other information that you had at your disposal in formulating your opinion?
Like from other reports and stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
And that would include physical evidence, is that correct?
Correct.
And that would include witness statements, correct?
Sustained as to form.
What, if anything else, would that include?
The roadway evidence, witness statements.
In witness statements, would that also include statements of the defendant?
Correct.
Are you aware that the defendant indicated in a statement to troopers that she conducted a 3-point turn in the area of 34 Fairview Road?
I'm going to allow that question.
Yes.
And what you observed in that triggering event is that from that mileage, is that consistent with the defendant's own statement?
Yes, it is.
Now, we asked you a little bit, if you could, again, for the jury, clarify the difference between what you termed as an area of impact versus a point of impact.
Yes, an area impact is broader. It's a bigger area.
Thank you,
point
Sherlock.
of impact would mean something obviously right there. That would be the area impact.
If I could ask, the cell phone that was located under Mr. O'Keefe's body, that location, is that also consistent with the linear path that you were testifying about earlier?
Yes, it was.
And do you know whether or not that cell phone was in his hand or in his back pocket or somewhere else?
I do not know.
So how do you know it's consistent if you don't know where it was located?
As far as let me ask you this. You were shown some photographs of some taillight pieces near a fire, correct?
Yes.
As far as the area of impact, that was, from what you determined, that was Mr. O'Keefe's sneaker, is that correct?
Yeah, it was within that. What I've had for no initial evidence, I said the area impact was a star in that area prior to the sneaker. So what I was saying was the area impact was prior to the area the sneaker was. It was in that path, just prior to that area.
And why did you determine that it was in that area?
Because that is the first point of evidence.
And first point of evidence in relation to what and sort of how the evidence was configured as it was evident to you.
That was pointed to me. It was the first point of evidence away from the furthest point of evidence at that time that knew away from the pedestrian.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
And sir, I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 58. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
And Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I publish that for the jury.
Okay, what exhibit number is it?
58.
I just saw Ian Runkle's tweet about this guy. The beginning of cross-examination is basically, so you're a bit of a moron,
Yes,
right?
What do you recognize?
And his answer is, I didn't just
the
take a
34th
class,
review,
I took
the
classes.
left side. And the fire hydrant.
And as far as these photographs and the photographs shown to you by Mr. Jackson on cross-examination, do you know when those photographs were taken?
I do not know specifically at what time those were taken.
You don't know if those photographs were taken on February 3rd of 2022?
Objection.
Is the objection sustained?
Now, Trooper, if you could, using the laser pointer, I know you've done this on the diagram, but if you could use the laser pointer with regard to what's on the screen as Exhibit 58, direct the jury's attention to where you believe the area of impact to be between the defendant's Lexus and Mr. O'Keefe.
It's probably somewhere out here.
And as far as that linear path that you were talking about from the area of impact, where did that go from and where did that go to?
So from, I think it's from around like this way.
Hey, Ms. Gilman, you can take that time. May I approach this for tree count? Now, Trooper, if you could explain to the jury as far as what you were describing as Mr. O'Keefe's post-impact movement, starting sort of with the point of impact between himself and the SUV to the point where he comes to final rest on the wall.
Yes, so he was struck along the right side in the area of his arm, and then he was in post-impact with the Lexus. He rotated counterclockwise and eventually hit the ground and came to final rest.
And the ground, based on your understanding of the weather conditions, was frozen at the time, is that correct?
Ground.
Sustained. Watch the form, Mr. Lally.
Yes. So as far as anything in your testimony about Mr. O'Keefe's actions, does that involve a pirouette?
No.
So there's a rotation, is that correct?
Correct.
And as far as 30 feet in the air, do you have any opinion as to whether or not he flew 30 feet in the air?
I do not have any evidence that he would have flown 30 feet in the air.
And so as far as from your training experience when it comes to pedestrian collisions, are you able to determine or calculate how much distance someone is in the air and how much distance someone sort of rolls or tumbles to their final resting position? Say it again. From your training experience,
yes,
based on this collision, are you able to determine how far Mr. O'Keefe was traveled in the air versus how far he traveled tumbling or rolling after he hit the ground?
I do not have a calculation for this specific style of pedestrian crash due to the side swipe. So if I did, I could use the formula. It would just vastly underestimate the speed of the vehicle.
Let me ask you a little bit about, you were talking about the Searle pedestrian throw formula, correct?
Correct.
And that's something developed in the course of physics specific to reconstruction by someone named Dr. Searle, correct?
Correct.
And that's SEARLE, is that correct?
That is correct.
And with respect to Dr. Searle's formula, why is that inapplicable in sideswipe collision versus some other type?
Because it takes in, it's looking for more, it's not so much the formula, it's how much projection efficiency that would occur, how much percentage of the speed of the striking vehicle would have happened. In order for the formula to work, the more of the body would have struck the vehicle, the more efficient the outcome would be in the speed.
In the center of mass that you were talking about, sort of in the collision sequence, what, if any, role does that play in regard to your ability to do that calculation?
It would just, like I said, it would underestimate the speed of striking vehicle due to the center mass not within the rear of the vehicle.
And not to twist your words or anything, but as far as when you say underestimate, that would not be an accurate reflection of the defendant's vehicle speed, correct?
Correct.
Now, you asked some questions about the glass and indicated that there are a number of reasons why the glass would travel with him, being Mr. O'Keefe. Can you explain what those are?
Yeah, the glass could have struck the vehicle also in that same way. Could have still been attached to his hand and still gone with him in the same way. It could have been attached to his body in midair. That's the multiple ways that the glass would have stayed with him.
Attached.
Now, and speaking of collision sequences, particularly collisions involving multiple vehicles, vehicles are fixed with bumpers, correct?
Correct.
What's the purpose of a bumper on a vehicle?
Don't ask me these difficult questions.
To help absorb the
Scope? Yeah. Sustained.
Your Honor, if I may, I don't believe it is.
So why don't we come to sidebar?
Oh, sidebar. Just get him off the stand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my Lord.
He's literally about to say that a bumper absorbs some of the shock, therefore he shouldn't have traveled as far. Because the impact would have been absorbed by the bumper.
Yeah.
This guy he's kicking own goals. And it's painful to watch.
How can you people still believe? How? Especially you, Mom. Ugh. This is rough, but we get to enjoy just a couple of minutes of not hearing stupid shit. You get to enjoy it quiet just for a minute.
It's
here.
terrifying that that's a something we can look forward to out of this.
Yeah, just the sweet sound of dead air.
Yes, Cat, his arm was hit and that sent him flying, which would have nothing to do with the bumper.
Lil Pale, the $5 Aussie. I failed physics in high school and university more than a decade ago, and I can apparently comprehend it to a far higher degree than this expert.
And isn't that just terrifying? No, Vlad, they weren't showing the jury. Those are family members and the audience.
It's just the gallery where everybody sits.
So I'm sorry again, if I could ask you, what is the purpose of a bumper on a vehicle?
It's there to help absorb energy from a collision.
And where is the bumper
With
located?
reference to,
Is it high enough to hit an arm?
scratches that you were asked about on the vehicle on sort of the right rear quarter panel, what, if any, relationship does bumpers or their interaction have to your opinion as it relates to that?
Sorry, say it again.
respect to what you just testified about bumpers, you were
Yes.
also asked some questions about scratches on the right rear quarter panel of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And what, if any, relationship does the bumpers on the vehicle and sort of their intended purpose have with relation to the scratches that you observed?
So the bumpers on the side was more of this wasn't more of a direct on hit with the bumper. It was more of the side scraping of the paint of the bumper.
Now, the presence of Mr. O'Keefe's DNA on the taillight, is that consistent with a pedestrian collision?
Yes.
Now, as far as the glass not matching, are you aware that the lab's actual findings were that the glass on the bumper and the glass on the roadway was just not found to be consistent with each other? Is that your understanding? If you know.
I don't know.
And were you also aware that the lab's finding was that the glass on the bumper was consistent with the glass on the road?
I'm not aware what the lab said.
His hair's leaking.
Now, in order to construct your diagram, your testimony, I believe, was that you had used
Jackson.
certain
Looks like he's got like
diagrams
something
and
running down the side of his
processes
head.
that. Is that correct?
Yes.
And
Oops, that was the wrong button.
if I could turn back to that 12629B, the mileage from the text stream data.
Yes.
The 3-point turn that you observed and the 24.2 mile
This
per
looks like
hour
a shadow.
straight line for
know.
approximately
Okay.
62 feet. How far apart time-wise within that particular triggering event were those two incidents?
8 minutes.
And as far as any of the other text stream data that you observed, was there any other triggering event that included the 3-point turn?
No.
Now, as far as the defendant's path of travel, is it your understanding that that was obtained from a multitude of different witnesses?
Yes.
Now, with reference to, you were asked some questions about the defendant's cell phone, as far as GPS locations. Were you aware that the defendant's cell phone wasn't able to be accessed until by law enforcement until 2023?
Sustained.
Were you aware that the defendant's cell phone had GPS locations turned off on the defendant's cell phone?
I'll allow that.
I was not aware.
Now, as far as placing the vehicle during that triggering event, 12629B, did you use key cycles to put it back at that location at that time?
No, I didn't.
What did you use?
I looked at the odometer mileage
And why would you look at the odometer mileage over the key cycles?
because I can physically see the odometer mileage at the vehicle at the time of my inspection.
And why would, well, let me ask you this. In your opinion, as far as that is concerned, sort of backtracking to a specific location, which is more reliable, the odometer or the key cycles?
I would say the odometer mileage.
And why is that?
Like I said, you can physically see it when you turn the car, and I know that's the odometer mileage that it's reading on the dashboard.
And every key cycle, is that necessarily reported within the text stream data?
No,
And why not, sir?
it only records stuff that related to the triggers.
They don't what?
They only record stuff that is related to the triggers.
Okay, thank you.
As far as counsel's hypothetical with regard to the key cycles, is it your opinion that that hypothetical is accurate or inaccurate?
Inaccurate,
And why so?
because it also be you also add the odometer mileage onto the key cycle, so those key cycles and odometer mileage are on the same trigger, and plus the data seems consistent with everything else that's going on with this collision.
Now, fair to say that you were not outside of 34 Fairview Road on January 29th, sometime around 12:20 to 12:30 a.m., is that correct?
That's correct.
And so fair to say that you don't know exactly how Mr. O'Keefe and or Glass or anything that he's holding interacted with the defendant's vehicle at that time? Objection.
I'll allow it. Is that true?
I do not.
And so based on your training and experience in crashes that you've investigated, Again, if you could, one last time, just describe to the jury how you believe the vehicle interacted with Mr. O'Keefe and why.
Objection.
Sustained. It's asked and answered.
Yep.
With reference to what you've described as far as the interaction between Mr. O'Keefe and the vehicle, why is that your opinion?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Based on the evidence from the vehicle, based on the injuries to John O'Keefe, the tail light appears to be broken and it's sharp plastic pieces that could have ripped his arm, and also the dent with the scratches above it is consistent with a hand holding a glass and the glass on top smashing on the vehicle.
Nobody
and the
cares.
hand smashing the vehicle. You can see there's a line between scratches and a dent there.
Nothing further.
What did that do? What did that do? How did any of that help the prosecution's case?
It didn't.
Very briefly, I just want to make sure I clear something up about key cycles. You're not suggesting that every key cycle in the history of the car is on this page, correct?
That's correct.
I'm pulling up Exhibit 591.
Okay.
That indicates key cycles that have triggering events, correct?
Yes.
Triggering events are something that the manufacturer includes in basically a list of items that will be a triggering event, correct?
Yes.
It's a list of items basically for mechanics to figure out if there's some unusual driving or unusual event with the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
But the key cycles go in order. They're numerical, 1 through whatever.
Correct.
And the hypothetical that I gave you on cross-examination, with those driving incidents, each one of those would represent a key cycle, correct?
I don't, so in your hypothetical, I mean, assume that it should create a key cycle, but that you can't just say that key cycle is from that, because I didn't just use key cycles, I used the odometer mileage on top of it. So you have to have key cycle and odometer.
Right. Interestingly, though, when you testified on direct examination, you said your analysis, this was on Friday, before the weekend. By the way, over the weekend, did you watch anything on, I don't know, YouTube or any social media?
No.
Nothing.
No.
No. Did you have any conversations with Mr. Lally about these key cycles and problems?
No.
Did you have any conversations with anybody about the issues with key cycles?
No.
Did you realize at some
No,
point
I'm
between
just.
Friday and today that I was probably going to ask you
It's
some
not
questions about
fun
key cycles?
anymore.
Objection.
Did you realize
I'm just
that
not
yourself?
commenting because
I assumed you were
It's-
asking
What do you
it's-
say to
I
the
take,
loads
I
of
take no
information.
pleasure in
So, on
ridiculing this
Friday,
guy
you
any
didn't
more than I
mention
already have in the
that
last
your
3
analysis was
hours.
based on mileage, did you?
Objection.
Sustained.
On Friday, did you mention that your analysis was predicated on mileage?
Objection.
I'll see you at sidebar.
Judge going in. Yeah, it's it was fun for a while. Now it's not fun. He's talking nonsense. He clearly doesn't have any clue what he's talking about, and they're just pounding on him.
Mhm. It's literally the stop, he's already dead meme.
Ugh. Yeah, you watch the bully get beat up, and then at some point you go, it's just. I just want this guy off the stand. and you know why Lally would give him an opening like that for another round of just brutal punishment, I don't know.
Because he's a freaking moron.
Well, I mean, aside from that, I just don't know. Aside from that one glaring part of his testimony here.
I love that, though. Did you watch any YouTube over the weekend? I just want them to put us all out of our misery so I can go to sleep.
Oh yeah, well, let's see what happens. We might mark this off depending on what they say here.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Super Paul, on Friday,
Nope,
you
they still get
indicated
the question.
clearly that your analysis was based on the key cycles, starting at 1164 when you started your testing, and 1162, which was the key cycle you claimed on Friday was at 34 Fairview.
It wasn't based on it. That's how I describe it. I said key cycles. I based it on they were close within proximity to each other, but I've always said it's key cycles and odometer mileage plus all the information within the triggers themselves. So it wasn't just one of the other.
And you said on Friday that once you started your testing at 1164, it was 2 cycles earlier that had the triggering events, meaning 1162, that you claimed were at 34 Fairview.
Yes.
But in the hypothetical, if there were 4 events, 4 key cycle events between 1164 and 1159, it could not have occurred at 1162, correct? 34 Fairview, in my hypothetical.
In your hypothetical, if it recorded a key cycle, then your hypothetical is correct.
Right. And last question, if you got the route of travel incorrect, your presumption that the route of travel was incorrect on that vehicle in the days earlier, then your mileage would be incorrect also, correct?
Yes.
Mileage from what? The odometer or from
The odometer reading.
the odometer reading is the odometer reading. It's 36.
My point is,
But where you count it from would be
your
wrong.
analysis that's based on the odometer reading, 36 miles here, 12 miles there, 2 miles here, 5 miles there. If you got the route of travel wrong and the route of travel was different, your assumptions about the odometer readings would be incorrect as well, correct?
So what I'm
You got the path of travel wrong.
so what I purposely put down a range on my Google images shown because I couldn't tell you her definitively route of path for every single way, but I know that it's possibly a possibility that she could travel 36 miles within those locations that she traveled post leaving Fairview Road.
Or if that mileage was put on at key cycle 1162, and that would mean the vehicle would already be in Massachusetts State Police custody, right? Into the proctor's custody.
Objection.
So that's beyond the scope.
That's all I know.
All right, Mr. Lally?
Just very briefly. The
Oh,
range
for
that you
fuck's
came up
sake.
with for the defendant's path of travel, does that fit with the path of travel, the odometer reading, putting the defendant's vehicle in the area of 34 Fairview Road when it does the 3-point turn, and then 8 minutes later when it travels 24.2 miles per hour in a straight line in reverse for approximately 62 feet?
Yes.
Nothing further.
All right, you are all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh my God. Oh my actual heaven God. Oh my goddess. Whew. We survived that one. 3 hours.
So yours, we're going to take another short break to set up some things in the court. Okay?
All rise for the court, please.
Ooh, a short break to set up shit.
Hey there,
No.
Karen Reed, trial watchers. This is another.
What could they possibly be setting? Hayden's disappeared. Hello. I don't. I don't. Was that an Ozempic wedgie? What did that say? What?
What?
Oh, Wegovy. What could they possibly be setting up? Who is our next witness? Legal vices. We
John
all agree
O'Keefe.
that AJ murdered the witness in front of our eyes, right? Yeah, that was a slaughter.
Yeah.
Let's see if anybody's saying anything about it here on Twitter while we have our little break.
See, sometimes you want to feel good about it. You want to you want to actually enjoy it, but sometimes you just bring out the Ouija board.
20 minutes ago, Ian Runkle texted, "Holy fuck, this is a critical witness for the Commonwealth." And you'd think that they'd have done some prep with him and maybe a practice cross-examination to determine if this guy is a cabbage.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, at least that he can get his lies straight so that it all... Because everything that he did, all his assumptions, all of his BS is all based on what, at this point, in my honest opinion, is planted evidence, and that's why nothing that he says makes any sense.
And 2 minutes ago, Ian texted, "Fuck it, I'm ready to convict on murder in the Karen Reed trial. Specifically, looks like Jackson has murdered this witness. Unfortunately, the witness hasn't figured that out yet."
That witness is a dead man. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah. Angel from Australia. Hi, Angel from Australia. Member for 9 months. Witnessed another murder today. Hey, Jeff, loving the hair, Ozzy. Do you want to explain that? Just
no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Ian also. Oh, I just watched a car get rolled over. That was kind of funny. Anyway, Ian 6 minutes ago texted, "Wouldn't change my opinion if I knew the glass from the cup didn't match. Man, just holy shit." Right. That's kind of what we were saying.
It doesn't matter. See, even if it's accurate, and even if she did the 3-point turn and she reversed at 24 miles an hour, I'm still not convinced that he wasn't in the car, because maybe they drove past the freaking house, realized they were going in the wrong direction, so she decided to slam it in reverse because she was supposedly drunk, and just reversed back towards the house. And then he got out and went in.
Could be.
I don't know.
Ian texts, "Have you heard the term confirmation bias? I've heard of it, but I don't know what it means. Holy fuck, you could carve a nose into a bowling ball and it'd be every bit as competent as this guy." Pretty much. Let's see. Let's see, just kind of scrolling on through here. Cross-examination, as far as I've seen now, summarized 20 minutes ago. "Sir, can you fog a mirror?" "Absolutely. I have a mirror. Here, go ahead." Tries blowing on the mirror repeatedly. No effect. This is, yeah. Let's see. It's Alita doing day 24. So it looks like Ian's the only one that's actively texting about this. I put up Island's quote that a murder trial shouldn't be this funny. I texted.
That's fair.
Yeah, it looks like that's kind of it. Holy cow. Uh-oh. Do we have next witness, Fiona Johansson, psychic aids law enforcement, private investigator, and the DA in solving cold cases. Johansson is a practicing medium. I hope this is true. I know it's not, but I hope it is. That would be hilarious.
What'll be hilarious is if she gets up on the stand, pretends to go into a trance, and says that she's innocent.
Yeah. Oh, AT1CVB41. Can you have a more difficult to read name there, please? Thank you so much for the $5. John O'Keefe did a triple Lindy, according to Trooper Paul. There you go, little.
Krusty the Clown.
Well, we got Krusty the Clown.
No one said the next witnesses will be Krusty the Clown.
Couldn't be any worse, could it? Ugh. I'm still trying to think that Back to School. God, that was the name of the movie. Jeez. I just kept saying Rodney Dangerfield. The triple Lindy from
okay.
Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. Shit. Island with a $5. Stop. No feeling bad for him. He's not a random witness. He's not a lay person. He's an expert. He
No,
gets
he's
paid
not.
for this. he is not an expert, and it's just part of his police officer salary here. They charged her with murder. Yeah, but
What concerns me is that the prosecution brought this dipshit in, and yet they were trying to keep the defense experts out. Like,
oh, so where did this? Trying to find the stream here, and not the stream, the tweet thing. From Fall River Reporter is giving us up to date on the jurors here. Trooper Paul's back on the stand for redirect. We're finished with Trooper Paul, and I'm taking another break. There's not many reactions here. Jackson starts off by, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think many people that are watching this that are on their own may just be suffering from brain fry at the second.
How do you tweet stupid? Jackson starts off by asking if Paul has any education surrounding physics, and along with that, what his highest level of education is. He responds that he has an associate's degree in an unrelated field. Yes. What? Strawberries. Chew toy went under a chair. We'll have to solve that in a minute. Crud. When you ask a witness about things that have no relevance to the case, anyone can fall outside their expertise.
What was he asked that was outside the relevance of the case?
Yeah, it was all pretty relevant.
Yeah.
If for no other purpose than to show that he didn't know what he was talking about.
Sure.
just tweeted out the so when you said that you were told info about the crime scene, you meant that the crime scene spoke to you? Yes. Did the crime scene tell you anything else? No. That's still my favorite thing to take away from this so far. The crime scene spoke to him. Apparently juror number 4 is taking notes and is highly amused.
It's understandable. My favorite thing so far has been this. Someone reached out and shared this to me. It was neither of us able to contemplate what the guy was saying.
Yeah.
And it's just, we both have this look at him. It's like, what the fuck did he just say?
That's a very, very small image. Because I have it over here. There we go. Boop. Yeah. In fairness, I think we had that expression quite a bit of the time. All right, let's see how we're doing over here. By the way, guys, we currently have 642 people watching, and we've got 527 likes. Come on, let's get to 600 likes. Just shoot us up to 600 likes. All of you just reach down there and smack it. Do your job. Do your job, damn it. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, because we're pushing ever closer to hitting 77,000. Right now we are where? We are doing math, 52 subscribers away from 77,000. There's got to be 52 of you amongst these 634 of you that are here right now. There's got to be 52 of you that haven't subscribed to the channel and would like to do so. So let's just do me a favor and get down there and subscribe to the channel. And if you are subscribed, you know what to do. Just double check. Just shoot a look down there. Make sure you're still subscribed. That would be awesome. That's kind of all I got here. We're just waiting for him to come back. So it's up to you, chat. Let's keep us all entertained. We're in the hands of chat right now. Because I can't talk about this guy anymore.
No.
That just sucked my life. It just sucked the life out of me. He said it was funny until it just got
sad.
Yeah, but it got sad because it didn't get any better. It just what would have been. It's like those movies that every single line has to be a joke.
And it's just forced.
Yeah, you laugh for the first 30 minutes of the movie, and then the last hour and a half of the movie, you're just like, all right, it's another joke. I just can't laugh anymore. That's kind of where I'm sitting with this.
Yeah. Oh, apparently it's going to be the Celebrate expert next.
Oof. Yuck. It's a train wreck. Yeah, it was definitely a train wreck. Look how cute Yoda is. Oh, Yoda's always cute. Yoda's the cutie. Someone said Jackson said bad weather. Yeah, someone said he said that, but that's hearsay. I didn't hear him say bad weather. Go to bed, Jeff. Why would I go to bed? We got to get to lunch. Legal Vices, well, defense is going to call experts in each and every one of those sciences, probably PhDs, up against Mr. Associate's degree. Yeah, I think we're going to see a little better quality experts. And tomorrow they're going to do the voir dire of the experts. Guessing it'll take about 3 to 4 hours, they were estimating. So we'll see how that goes. I'm guessing that their experts are going to sound a little more qualified than this guy. Just me, hypothesizing about what could possibly happen. You'll fall asleep during Celebrate guy. Well, we'll see.
I won't blame you in the slightest, honestly, because it's not going to be riveting testimony.
Yeah, I said we'll see how it goes for a bit, and then we can just decide what to do from there on out. It's not Vardur, it's Vordir. Dang it. It's not Vardur.
Well, see, I was going to say, that's how you can tell that Jeff's getting tired. He said voir dire properly.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to pronounce it incorrectly to prove how to pronounce it properly. Yeah.
Sure.
Turtle Boy said he saw jurors laughing. Yeah, so did Fall River Reporter. Who's next? Well, apparently a Celebrite expert. If we're led to believe in the credibility of that previous statement, high school students sound more credible. Well, he's barely a high school student. Yeah. Lally's objection buzzer will require new batteries. Yoda looks like he'd make a comfy pillow. Yeah, I use them for a pillow occasionally when they're on the couch, and I kind of lay down, lay my head on them while I watch TV.
Yeah, dogs are good like that.
Strawberry makes the more comfortable pillow. Yoda has a prominent backbone and more muscle, so it's not really squishy. Strawberry is just squishy. Legal Vices can't tell if Ozzy is just a huge Guy Fieri fan or they're about to head to his Smash Mouth cover band show. Jess was lurking, back to work. Off to work. Bye, Jess. Thank you for hanging around. Thank you for lurking. Always lurking. He'd lose on who's smarter than a football. The greater.
Are you smarter than a fifth grader?
What?
My head physically hurts. Like I don't know if it's just from sitting there going, or like the number of brain cells that died, or just like.
No, I kind of have a little bit of a headache going myself because it's just all the stupid together in one place at one time.
Okay, so long as it's not just me, that's the main thing. Remind me again how this case was ever brought.
I can't tell you. Have no clue, which is probably why the feds are investigating the prosecution.
Okay, and that's my other question. Explain to me why this went to trial while the feds are still investigating.
Because they wanted it to. That's your answer. Because the prosecution wanted to move forward.
Well, I kind of feel like the right to a fair trial should mean that, I don't know, an appeal in the middle of the trial should be made to put it for a stay until, I don't know, the prosecutor's main witnesses are no longer being investigated for federal crimes.
Because they had to blame someone and couldn't blame a fellow cop. Why has this not been dismissed already? Well, it can't be dismissed until the prosecution finishes their case, and the judge still isn't going to dismiss it.
No, hell no.
Well, it wouldn't even be. It would be a directed verdict rather than a dismissal. But that's not going to happen.
Logic.
Yeah. Hey, that logic is just as good as how did the cell phone get under John O'Keefe? It just did. Thanks, expert.
My God.
It just did. That's how it got there.
And it was
gotcha, Jackson.
And the crime scene told me, and I did the stuff.
The stuff, yes. He did stuff at one point. Congratulations, he did stuff. Flux just texted me and said, how does he still have a job? I don't know. How does Proctor still have a job? Because part of what triggered the federal investigation was the grand jury for this trial.
Yeah, but that still means that there was time in between the grand jury and when the jury was impaneled for them to apply to have this stayed. I presume that Jackson didn't do that, but my question is why?
Is the judge purposely making this trial drag out?
No, she's deliberately using the fact that she wants the trial to move quickly so that the jurors aren't inconvenienced as an excuse to force the defense to shut the fuck up on occasion. And as far as I'm concerned, that's inappropriate as well. I'm tired. I'm gonna start getting snippy. Have they gone to lunch, or is this just supposed to be a
long break to set something up?
I thought she said a short break, so I might have to go to bed. It's just 12 o'clock.
Yeah, we're at 1:10 here. Are they televising tomorrow's voir dire? Yes. And I will be doing it here live. Defense and prosecutor wanted to delay the trial, but Bev pushed it through. That is correct. They both wanted to have another delay. He said, nope. We're going ahead.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. She's basically, you've had 2 years to prepare. Ozzy is turning into the Hulk, starting with the hair. Don't know what you're talking about.
No clue.
Nothing's out there. No. To answer everyone's question on why all the cops have a job, qualified immunity, and cops never betray each other, just a few bad cops. Myth busted.
Yeah.
Lally needed a cigarette.
Like cops.
Yeah. The poor Lally. He's got to know that was not the best witness he's put on the stand.
Yeah.
That's just sad.
And that's with a trial that has Jen McCabe in it as well. That's just.
And Proctor. Well, this is getting old, isn't it? I really want to hear Jackson make. Oh, we're coming back. Make the mic drop comment after one of these witnesses. All right, we've got noise in the courtroom. Are you going to stick around or are you going to head out of here, Aiden?
I'll wait to see what they're talking about, and if I just dip, I'll dip. In which case, Aussie Overlord, people.
Thank you. Be seated. Close back.
Oh, we've changed the angle of the camera. No, we haven't. It was just weird. Everybody just
All right,
facing.
your next witness, please, Mr. Lally.
Yes, Your Honor, the Commonwealth to call Mr. Ian Whiffen to the stand.
Okay.
Ian Whiffen.
And
Well, the
Mr.
feds
Lally,
don't
you
need to
just
sit in
need
the
to
stands.
tell me when I need to give that instruction.
Yes.
Okay.
You step right up and step for me. May stand and face the clerk.
Just raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you shall give to the
Oh,
court in the
Jesus.
matter now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I don't believe in God.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Jeez, dickhead. Whatever.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
And if it's at all helpful, that microphone before you is adjustable. You can put it in any direction you wish. Just try to keep your voice up, okay, sir?
Thank you.
Now, sir, could you please state your name and spell your last name for the jury?
Yes, it's Ian Whiffen. So IANWHIFFIN.
And
And your boyfriend's name is?
I'm currently the decoding product manager at Cellbrite.
So, right, I'm out. Enjoy.
Cellbrite is one of the.
But he has a
world
British
leaders
accent.
in mobile
He's telling the
forensics software.
truth.
Either that or he's
And
the evil
when you
mastermind
say
behind
forensic
everything.
software, can you explain to the jury a little bit about
Yeah,
sort of
true.
what is forensic software and how is it used, specifically your cell phone?
Bye, Hayden.
Yes, so forensic software is used to gain access to people's devices, cell phones primarily, to extract that data and to allow examiners to parse and decode that data to make sense of it in a more user-friendly way so that a report can be created for investigators.
Now, sir, if I could ask you just a few questions going back to some of your educational and prior work experience with starting sort of with your undergraduate work, what, if any, where did you go to school and what, if any, degree did you receive?
Okay, I didn't get a degree. I'm originally from the UK, where I did qualifications in computing, a higher national certificate in computing, and then joined the police in 2004.
And what department was that, sir?
That was response work. So South Yorkshire Police as a response officer.
And where did you go from there?
Hey,
In
he's from Steph, the
2009, I
alternate
immigrated
land.
to Canada, where I was able to continue policing with the Calgary Police Service, where I spent approximately 4 or 5 years, again, working patrol before moving to the digital forensics team of Calgary Police.
And with respect to moving to that digital forensics team, what, if any, specialized training did you receive in regard to that area?
So once I had made it into the digital forensics, I was sent to Ottawa for 3 weeks to do a foundational computer forensics course, covering all manner of digital forensics to begin with. Throughout my 8 years with Calgary Police, I did constant courses each year to keep information updated, including a 2-week course, again, at the Canadian Police College in Ottawa, specifically about cell phone forensics. And then also during that time, additional courses for extracting data for interpreting internet artifacts or any other kind of information found on a phone or computer.
And following that, where did you go from there, sir?
In 2020, I left Calgary Police Service and began working at Cellbrite as the senior digital intelligence expert, where I would use my knowledge of the forensic community to assist the developers with creating and maintaining a program that examiners would want to use. And finally, about 2 years ago, I moved to the decoding product manager position.
Can you explain to the jury sort of what it is, what your role is, and what is it that you do for Cellbrite?
Yep, so right now in the position I'm in,
Again, I use my knowledge of the digital forensics landscape in the community. I talk with users about their daily challenges, what applications are causing them problems, what they need to get access to, what they need to understand. And I take that information, create a priority list, and then determine with our developers what we will tackle, how we will tackle it, and how it will appear to the end user.
Now, with regard to your education in this area, what, if any, certifications do you have?
No specific certifications. I've done the Cellbrite coursework since joining Cellbrite, but other than the 3-week course in Ottawa, and then again the 2-week course in Ottawa, I don't have the SANS training or any of that kind of training certifications.
And in addition to your work with Cellbrite, what, if any, other areas of the field have you worked in?
I'm sorry, could you rephrase that?
Sure. Have you given any presentations? Have you published any work in relation to this area?
Yes. So since working as an examiner, I identified that there were times that I needed to parse artifacts from applications that the main vendors didn't support. In response to that, I would do my own research. That research turned into a selection of digital forensics tools, and I created a website for myself to share that research, to share those tools
he created
with the community.
a website.
And directly related to that, I have published articles related to accessing data on phones, related to SQL databases, related to various other artifacts, primarily locations.
Over the course of your work, have you had occasion to testify in other courts in relation to this specific field?
Yes, related to digital forensics, I've testified approximately 20 times, mainly in Canada, but also once in Michigan, once in Australia, once in the UK.
Now, as far as questions that come into your company with relation to interpretation of data, other sort of general forensic questions, what parts of the world do these questions come in from, and how widely used is your product?
So the product is used globally. There are a select number of countries that we don't export to, but generally, if a police service is interested in digital forensics, then they're using at least some of our tools. We operate an email address which is open to any user called Stumpers. And the idea is that users, if they come across an artifact that they can't explain, they can email to myself and some of my colleagues, and we can research that artifact, and we can try and give them an answer as to say why the artifact's there and how it should be interpreted.
You determined there as far as an artifact. If you could please explain to the jury sort of what your understanding of that term is and how it's used within your specific industry.
Yeah, so I would refer to an artifact as essentially any piece of data which I've recovered from the phone, which is of interest. It could be a web history visit. It could be a text message. It could be a photograph, any piece of information.
Now, sir, turning your attention to September of 2023, at some point in that month, were you contacted by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office and the State Police in regards to this case?
Eventually, yes. Initially, I was contacted by a member of Cellbrite.
And if you know, why was that initial, as far as the initial contact, initial request from Cellbrite, can you speak about that?
My understanding was there was an artifact found on a device, and people were looking for an explanation as to how this particular timestamp was relevant to the case.
Now, if you could explain to the jury sort of what were you provided and what were you asked to look at?
So the original question is just basically how can we explain this 227 timestamp? I spoke to my colleague and requested if he could contact the investigators and any information that they could share about where this particular timestamp was found so that I could investigate it. I was advised at that time that the case had already been uploaded to our own support network. So the full extraction of the device in question was already in Cellbright's possession. And I was able to access it from there and start to examine what the issue was that was causing the confusion.
Now, with reference to this issue, can you describe to the jury, just in general terms, sort of what this issue was?
Yeah, so the issue, as I was led to believe, is there was a timestamp for a web history artifact of 2:27 and 40 seconds AM local time, which would be UTC-5, and it didn't make sense to the investigators. And the question was, is there any other interpretation for what this timestamp could mean?
And so essentially you were asked to explain the timestamp and how it came to be, correct?
Correct.
And as far as this particular issue, has this arisen in other instances? Have you been asked the same question or similar questions in regard to this type of artifact?
Riveting
Yeah,
testimony.
several weeks later, so probably around December time last year, I was contacted by a police investigator in Austria with a very similar question, but related to obviously a different internet search. And about a week later, the defense expert in the same case also contacted me asking the same question. The defense expert in that case was able to provide the database, and I was able to provide the answer.
Now, as far as the full extraction, is that the entirety of what you looked at in this instance, or what, if anything else, were you provided with in regard to your review and your analysis in this?
So I did work with the full extraction, but my interest was focused on just the web history artifacts.
And what, if anything, did you find with regard to the web history artifact?
So the 2:27:40 timestamp was correct insofar as that is the time that is shown within the database. It was indeed a deleted record, but the interesting thing was why the timestamp said 2:27:40. And I did some testing on this and discovered the reason why 2:27:40 was actually listed in the database, even though that's not the time, in my opinion, that the search was conducted.
And what is your opinion as to when the search was conducted?
There's plenty of other evidence on that extraction that shows what activity was occurring at 2:27 and 40 seconds. And there's plenty of evidence later on in the day that shows that that particular search was conducted at 6:23, I believe 51 seconds, and then a similar search at 6:24 and 18 seconds, I believe.
And before we get to that, Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
All right. Given how riveting this testimony has been for the first few minutes,
Griffin, I'm showing you the document.
we'll probably
Thank
go
you.
for another 5 minutes and then just mercy kill this today. And then we'll do the review of this in the afternoon section tomorrow before we start with the voir dire witnesses.
Yes,
Do you recognize that, sir?
I do, yes.
What do you recognize that to be?
This was the internet history.
We got it a long time
the
ago.
history.db
We got that a long time
database
ago.
table showing activity from the morning of the 29th of January 2022.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll seek to introduce the next exhibit.
No objection.
Okay.
It's 14.
Siren outside of courtroom. Mark that off.
Yes.
Your Honor, if I may, with court permission to republish it from the jury.
Yes.
Or may I approach just to retrieve?
Yes.
No, it's my fault.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Whitman, do you recognize what's up on the screen now as the exhibit you have before you?
Bingo. Hey, some people are getting bingos off of that. Good for you. I don't have a bingo yet.
Desk, next to you What I'm going to ask you to do is, if you could, using that laser.
I haven't had bingo for
explain
3
to the jury
days.
what we're looking at in this exhibit and what, if anything, of significance you observe within this exhibit.
Okay, of course. So this was a table I created based on the data from the phone. The first column shows the local time of a record that was written to the history database. This is a database which is tracking all web pages which are loaded as you use them. The second column starts with the URL, so the Uniform Resource Locator, so what you would type in or how the browser knows which website you want to visit. The title is part of the website which is loaded. One of the top attributes of the website will load the title. Visit count relates to an internal counter within Safari, which just tracks how many times a particular website is visited in order to make suggestions to you down the road. And then finally, the last column shows the source of this information. So history.db is the name of the database. History_visits is the name of the table. And then the number is the unique identifier, which is assigned to that particular record in consecutive order. So every time you add a new record, that number will increase by 1.
And Mr. Whip, probably a couple of foundational questions that I should have asked you first. My apologies. With respect to the cell phone extraction that you were provided, that was from a individual named Jennifer McCabe, is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
And fair to say you don't know Jennifer McCabe, never met her, don't know anything about her?
Correct.
And as far as a extraction is concerned, if you could please explain to the jury sort of what your understanding of that is. What is an extraction?
An extraction in this case, all of the files and folders had been extracted from the device, saved on a computer in a zip file container. So essentially in a way that is as close to the original from the device as possible.
And again, what is your title specifically with Cellbrite?
It's Decoding Product Manager at the moment.
And so what, if any, relation does what you do have with relation to an extraction and how that's, what's sort of the relationship between what you do and a Cellbrite extraction?
So once the extraction's been extracted and we have the zip file, then Physical Analyzer is the tool that Cellbrite creates to allow examiners to look at that extracted data in a meaningful way. And my role is somewhat shaping how examiners will see that data when they open up Physical Analyzer and look at the extracted data.
And how does your role play into that? What is it that you do what, if any, relationship does what you do have to do with how examiners will view something from Cellbrite?
Again, so after being an examiner for 10 or 11 years, I've got that kind of understanding of how examiners work. Being someone who also writes my own software and does my own research,
Ooh, fancy
then I can
pants.
kind of cross that void that usually exists between developers and examiners and help both parties try to come to a meaningful conclusion.
Ms. Gilman, if you could shrink that just a little. We'll zoom out a little. Now, again, Mr. Whitman, if you could, using that laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you've observed depicted in this particular case.
Yes, so the lower two records, which are highlighted in green, are 2 records which occurred at 2:27 and 42 seconds local time. So 2 seconds after the Google search had allegedly been made. And then the second record is 5 seconds after that at 2:27, 47 seconds. Both those URLs relate to a website of huckamucksports.com.
Okay, people, this seems like a good break point. I know some of you are just dying over there. I likewise, I'm running out of fuel for today, and I don't think I can sit through a Cellbrite expert here. It's kind of anticlimactic after what we went through. But what I'm going to do is tomorrow, I'll watch it tomorrow while I'm at work, and we'll go through and I'll make the notes. And if there's some spectacular reason, we'll watch it. Otherwise, I'll just give you a quick summary before day 27 starts tomorrow before the voir dire. So join me for the voir dire of the defense's experts in anticipation for their participation in the defense portion of the hearings. And then Wednesday, there's going to be no court. Thursday will be a full day, and Friday will be a half day. So we'll do that half day Friday, and then Friday evening U.S. time, we'll be doing an F it Friday stream, which is where we say F it. And we just have a great panel of guests, no topics. We just grift for money. Every $100 that comes in, I do a shot. It's kind of fun. We just go till my liver quits or the money stops coming. It's just a fun all-in-one thing. It's just a good excuse to have great people and a great panel. Well, Friday will be 2 streams, so join me for that. All right, everybody, we're going to send it over to the Broken Baker, who is going live with this. He's going to continue with Cellbrite Guy. If you want to see the Cellbrite Guy, don't go anywhere. So you should get sent over there automatically. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships, the super chats, the monthly membership chats. Thank you so much, people in chat, just for being here and keeping me awake and comfortable here I cannot send you to Andrea Burkhart because she hasn't given authorization to do that. She has to give specific authorization to allow people to be sent over there. So Broken Baker is where we're going to go. Or you can just go over to Andrea Burkhart if you want. I've just got to set up to go over to Broken Baker. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And thanks to Aussie Overlord. Make sure you subscribe to him. And we are 50 subscribers away from 77,000. So on your way out, if any of you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. Thank you very, very much. We'll see you tomorrow for the voir dire of the defense experts. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you. And thank you very much for joining me. Bye.